lot of people don't even know this about the club, but the way that he's paying comic, you can't compete with that.
Yeah, I know.
You can't. It's like, he won't let me say what it is, but he said I could talk kind of about it. Bro, it's just complete game changer. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Flagrant. Today we have our resident journalistic expert with us to explain everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
It's Saagar Enjeti.
Yo, Saagar! Yo, Saagar, how are you?
What's up, boys? Thank you for having me.
So thank you so much for coming. Listen, we have a lot of things that we need to get to the bottom of.
Okay.
And you're going to explain it all to us. Because we act like, take me seriously. Take me seriously.
This
Take
shit
me
is
fucking
swagged
seriously.
out.
Take me Thank you, Al.
You
Thank
hate
you,
it.
Al. You can't do it.
We have a journalist on the show,
can't
and you're
do
acting
it.
like this.
He's dressed good.
Yeah.
We're going to be loose.
That's why this works. That's how this
Exactly.
works.
The downfall of religion.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
the downfall
Don't blame
of
me.
religion.
I had nothing to do with this.
Listen, you were talking about the downfall of religion,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And how America is falling apart because of it.
Well, I didn't say that. But
You said Canada's going to take over.
Well,
Are you
they're
religious?
Probably even no. I'm not actually even that religious. But let's pull the graphic up. Actually, I'll pull it up in front of me. Wall Street Journal.
Back to work. Boy. Did you see that? Yo, Mark,
I was thinking a
back
graphic
to
was gonna just
work.
come down, come down from
I
somewhere.
thought he was telling Mark to do that.
I'll pull it up. Okay, so this is what we got this morning. Wall Street Journal poll. Percent who say these values are, quote, very important to them.
Yeah.
Patriotism, 1998, was 70%. Today is 38%. Religion, 62% in 98, 39% today. Having children, 59% 1998, 30% 2023. Community involvement was at 47.
Got it up here, my G.
There we go. 1998, and then down to 27.
Most-
the only
most
one that has
importantly-
increased, money, 31% to 43%.
Explain this to us.
Sure.
You're here to explain everything important and smart to us.
I think the reason that you're seeing this is a couple of things. So 1998 was obviously like peak homogeneity as a society, but more
You're
importantly,
a handsome fucking guy,
He
Saagar.
is, right?
I didn't realize that.
He is,
it's
dog.
the teeth where
Yes.
it changed
you
everything.
know, this,
dude.
I get
Glow
so
up,
much shit
dog.
from people because you're the only person who pointed out my actual
What are you
teeth. Most
talking
people
about?
are polite about it. They're like, oh, he's got nice teeth. You know, you were like, Saagar, those new teeth, my boy, on Joe Rogan. Yeah, I was like, I got so
Yo,
text messages
he's a
from
sneaky
people.
hater, bro. He's a sneaky hater.
I was like, come on.
Because he was born with
Yeah.
nice
Why is
teeth.
that hating?
No.
Excited.
I'm excited.
It's totally
No,
fine.
no,
I
no.
You bought
appreciate
them
it.
teeth. They're your teeth.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
hateful.
Okay. Let's address the teeth. So I
Yeah,
actually had a
let's address
problem.
it, bro.
I had a huge problem.
Son, I thought you had the same teeth as me this whole time.
Hater.
Big ass teeth, no reason.
No,
I
I knew you got them
I
fake.
had misaligned teeth here in the back, and
Yeah,
right
yeah.
before breaking points, I went to this orthodontist to fix it. She's
Yeah.
like, "I give you two options." She's like, "We can either put
Indian?
in new ones." This Iranian woman, lovely lady. She's like, "We can either do the
Sorry, go on.
we can
Sorry,
yes,
go on.
there we go. My old that's
That's you before.
yes,
I
there
think
we
you
go.
got work done, bro.
Yeah, no, man. I just started
think you
working
got-
out. I
Are
just
you
started
sure?
working out. I swear to God.
Did you ice plunge?
Huh? Yes, actually, Huberman got me an ice plunge.
Really?
Yes.
'Cause
yes.
you
Shout
got
out to him.
jawline
Shout out to
and
the cold
everything?
plunge.
I think he's on the peptides.
Oh, you on the
I think
peptides?
so.
Listen,
Be honest.
I
Ozempic?
wish I was on the peptides.
Oh,
I
Ozempic?
wish. No, I refuse to take semaglutide. Nothing. I just, Dr. Lane Norton, shout out to Lane Norton, calories in, calories out, not starve yourself.
Yeah.
Eat at a caloric deficit, and I work out a lot. That's it.
Is that called the be gay diet? Is that
Actually, gay men have been doing it for centuries. So,
Oh, so I was right about that.
Oh, yeah. If any bodybuilding gym in this country is just full of gay dudes. And
Centuries
they're
are
look
less
way better
fat.
than too.
Stop
You
it,
need
stop
if you
it,
need
stop
fitness advice, you should go to a ripped gay
Am I
dude.
turning them
That guy
on
knows
right now?
everything. Oh, I bet.
Yeah. No, ripped gay dudes obviously know how to work out. 100%.
I mean, they weren't always
everything.
brolic.
Yeah,
You're saying
no.
centuries. You know, I mean, the 80s, they were getting
I mean,
pretty
you ever
skinny.
seen some photos of like the Greek guys working out? Like
Oh
back
yeah,
in the,
100%.
Yeah, back like
but
2000
Theo
BC.
had an interesting theory about this. He was like, because they're on semen. He said they're on
Yeah,
semen,
yeah.
and that's just raw testosterone.
Yeah, just mainlining.
Yeah, no
Not sure how it
peptides, no
works.
Ozempic. What do you mean you're not sure how it works?
I'm not sure if there's testosterone. Is there testosterone in semen?
That's where testosterone
check.
comes from.
Yeah.
Let's check it. Pretty sure it's from the gonads.
Yeah. I don't
Is
Yeah,
there
wasn't that balls?
testosterone
Yeah.
in
Yeah, but it's
sperm?
not in the
Like, I
sperm.
don't think it's in the semen. Substantial concentrations of testosterone are not only present in male circulation, but also in ejaculate. Okay.
Yeah. To me, it's the most logical
Shout
thing.
out
with the
to
smart guy,
Derek
bro.
More Plates More Dates.
my bad.
Is it like synthesized? There's a difference
That's how I
between
know More
free
Plates, More Dates.
testosterone versus outside testosterone.
But that's why I know he's not really committed to that fitness life.
Oh, really?
Because he'd be sucking at the tap if he really wanted the good testosterone. You know what I mean? But he wants to get the peptides, he wants the steroids. Listen, there's a tap that's got the rawest tea on the planet.
Tell Derek to do that, dude.
Derek!
Derek. Put the video out.
Slurp, slurp, my boy, if you really want to get them gains. Dude, brains for gains,
Yeah.
man. That's the new. We gotta start,
More veins, more gains, bro. That's what it is. We gotta start that, dude.
we need Derek on the pod.
You should get him, dude. He's
I
awesome.
like that shit.
I've never interviewed him.
That's
I've
how I
only
know
talked to
I'm
him a
getting
couple
in shape
times.
if Derek outs me.
Oh yeah.
If one day in the future I get a video
Natty
where
or
Derek.
not, he'll do it. He'll do it just for the views.
Oh no, that's
Shout
my
out.
boy Cody KO.
Who is that?
Natty or not.
Cody. What am I missing?
Has that big brolic ginger motherfucker
yeah,
that's
yeah.
at the gym walking up to people asking if they're natty or not.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen.
Dude,
it.
get on TikTok, your favorite app.
I don't use TikTok. There you
Why?
go. That's why.
Why?
You know, we've gone through it before. That's why the TikTok CEO is up there.
What, dude?
Kenny KO, by the way.
What?
Kenny KO.
I know, but
Okay,
I call him Cody KO.
But why? That's a
Cody
different guy.
KO
Because
is
I got it wrong, but now it's
that's
become
Tiny
a thing.
Meat Gang, Cody KO.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cody Ko is a different guy.
Oh, that's that Chinese guy on Tiny Meat Gang? The little Chinese white guy on
yeah,
Tiny Meat
exactly.
Gang?
Yeah.
That's Cody KO?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
He's not on the juice.
okay,
He's
okay.
not on
That's
the
he's not natty or not.
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Kenny KO.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Kenny
yeah.
KO.
Send me one of his things.
Listen, he's the goat, bro. You in the middle of a tricep pull. He's like, natty or not? You're like, bro, what? Finish this set. Natty or not, motherfucker? Are you cheating?
It's not cheating. I respect people who are enhanced. Just can't do it myself.
Natty or not?
100% natty. I wish I wasn't. Well, I guess I don't know.
What are you
I guess-
talking about right now?
Does that count?
Fucking
He lied to your
Does
face.
that
Does teeth count? Does the teeth
that
count? It has no performance enhancing. I can't eat into apples. I can't like bite into apples. I wouldn't say that's like enhancing my performance.
All of us
Yeah.
are half erect now.
Just looking at these
But before wasn't that.
with those the gap in the teeth.
Did you get fake gums too or something? Your gums look great as well.
No, dude, they didn't do anything to your gums.
Really?
Yeah, although it did hurt. Well, I mean, like I said, she was like, you can do 2 years of Invisalign, or maybe 3 years of Invisalign. She's like, or I can fix this right now. And I was like, just fix it right now. I had to sell my car, actually, to pay for
Really?
it.
This is before breaking points.
Way before breaking points, dude. That's the
Wow.
funny thing. I had it lined up. I didn't even know it was going to start BP,
Right.
but it was all scheduled at the same time. So
Yeah.
I also didn't know how long that it was going to be painful. So I was on the air the next day, and my face was all swollen up
Wow.
like this.
Kanye
and then
West,
I
bro.
was on Rogan 6 days afterwards. Literally 6 days. So it was like brand new. Still was like drinking out of a straw.
No.
Yeah, I swear, dude.
Why didn't you just do Invisalign? There's
What?
just like a lot of maintenance that goes with having
do you know
this.
anything about
immediate, bro.
Invisalign?
I had
Invisalign
it.
is fucking crazy. Yeah, but it's like you can't drink coffee. You can only drink you can only take it out twice a day.
Listen,
it's a huge
That's
pain in the ass.
I had
nonsense.
Invisalign, bro.
No, did you?
Yes.
Okay, well, she's
with the
telling-
rubber bands as an adult.
Maybe she
Clucking them off.
she took me for a ride then. This woman, but
She
listen,
took
it
you
was
for
going to be
an absolute
expensive.
ride.
It was literally
a
going to be the
minute.
same cost basically regardless.
Magic carpet, right? Hey, Persians, you know what I'm saying? We got racist jokes. Okay, so listen, Saagar, can you explain what's going on with the Jews?
Oh, what is it?
Don't answer that.
Who do we owe it to it right
If
now?
you can tell, wait, what?
What, so who did Kanye say that he owes? It was Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill and
That's
Jonah
right.
Hill.
That's right. Thank you.
Yes.
Which I had
Jonah
actually ironically just watched like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
It's great.
Good
I
movie.
strongly
Good
suggest
movie.
Good
I
movie.
wouldn't call it the best. I wouldn't call it.
it's
what-
very stupid, but it's very funny.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
I saw a good tweet. It was like, showed him 21 Jump Street, didn't help, and it was just Mel Gibson.
I thought he loved everybody though.
Who, Mel?
Remember? No, Kanye. Remember his fake fucking bullshit excuse? Remember when he
the
got
racist cover is always "I love everyone" or "I hate
Yeah,
everyone."
like he basically got behind Nazi propaganda and then just said he loves the Nazis. And he says, I love everybody. And then now, yesterday, a couple days ago, he's like, well, now I like the Jews.
What do you guys think is going on with that? Like, was it attention? Was it just completely out of his fucking
Yeah,
mind?
he's
like,
an insane person that happens to be good at making music.
just sad.
yeah.
sad.
Yeah, it is sad that we miss out on music. It's sad for us.
I mean, they're still bumping Kanye in every gym that I walk
It's
into.
never stopped. Isn't that
Yeah,
interesting?
no, it is true. I can't actually. Jordan Shallow said that. I think he was like, "Man, he's like the one thing you know with Kanye, they will never stop playing his music." in
Isn't
gyms."
that crazy?
It's fantastic. It's true. It's like when power comes on in the gym, you're like,
gym with you, bro. Okay. No, I do want to go over some serious things, and I'm going to try to be serious here as
Okay.
much as I possibly can.
Yes.
So, listen, stop it, Miles. Miles, stop it. We're
look
being
like this-
fucking, we're serious journalists
You
on
look
this
like
show.
the bad guy in Batman. Scarecrow?
Who?
Scarecrow?
What was scared? Oh,
Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I'm on my little Nicky shit right now.
okay.
that's not
Okay,
well, Nick.
listen.
That's fine.
We have serious topics that we all want to touch. Obviously, I want to figure out what's going on with Trump. I want to figure out what's going on with this banking collapse, and I want to figure out what's going on with TikTok, and I want to figure out what's going on with the religion in America.
Sure.
I do think, and I definitely do feel like patriotism down big. I was at a Pilates studio the other day. Yes, homo.
Yeah.
And I was, this girl said she was afraid to wear an American flag shirt to another woman. And then she goes, why? And she goes, oh, you know, the whole like January 6th or whatever.
It's like, what does that have to do with anything?
And she just associates American pride with like extreme right-wing awesome guys. Like
That's actually very sad. But if you think about it, it's not actually a crazy development because the patriotism number was at 70% in 98. Well, what happened after 1998? Why did it start to go
Internet.
down? Iraq was the actual problem. So if we like 1998 was what we call like the unipolar moment where America was this preeminent world superpower. The only war we had done in the last 30 years was the Gulf War, which, you know, like, look, there's criticism of the Gulf War, like whatever.
Yeah,
at the time.
Is that just because you're not counting Vietnam as a war?
I'm saying it's 30 years after Vietnam. So it's like when do we leave Vietnam? 1975, but technically we started winding down major American combat presence like 1971. So 1998, we're on top of the world. It's pre-dot-com crash. Everybody, can you think about it? Your parents, like retirement portfolios, they were putting money in, they were getting like 25, 30% year over year return. That's how, and also their home values are going up. Again, no Iraq. Clinton was president. Our biggest problem was the president got a blowjob in the Oval Office. Even after that, he had a 62% approval rating on the day he left office.
Wow.
This moment like doesn't exist anymore. And then if you see like 2019, we were already down to 61%. But I think that the big drop from 2019 to 23 is actually, I wouldn't even put January 6th in that one. What that is total loss of confidence in the government post-COVID. So it's on the right wing, you're like lockdowns, whatever, stimulus check. They robbed the election from Trump. That's one.
Yes.
But then on the left wing, you're like, I can't even believe they stormed the Capitol. Trump didn't get convicted.
Yes.
People are still going out to eat.
Yes.
Like the complete bifurcation of both poles of the country is what makes people less patriotic. And that's why even amongst right-wingers in that same poll, only some 56% or whatever said that patriotism was important because they don't feel as much confidence in the government.
Now,
so it's really bad.
Is it bad or is it justified?
I mean, maybe. No, I mean, I just gave a pretty good case for it, right?
That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
if we're both upset at these institutions and how these institutions have been failing us, and our confidence in these institutions is directly correlated with our patriotism,
Right.
it makes sense that it's low.
That's why, no, I mean, I don't want to shit on everybody. Can we scroll down to money? That's actually the most interesting one to me, is that 31%, because actually you had a much better chance at getting rich and being upper middle class in 1998 than you did today. But the reason why people put more value on money is—
There's nothing else to put value on. That's the only thing that you can feel good about yourself. I might as well be rich.
It's much tougher, right? So one of the things is if you lose community, you lose having kids, you lose patriotism, what's the one thing that you can have? Money. And one of the things, actually, I think I might even pinned one of the comments, which is that one of the reasons why it's justifiable is that if you look at the earlier generations, they didn't have they had the luxury of not having to worry as much about money. They could buy a house, a starter home, for example. They could appreciate in value.
They're not dealing with global economic collapse every 15 years.
They don't have to deal with 2008 and 2023 and 2020, COVID, Iraq, Afghanistan, all this bullshit into a single lifetime.
You hear these stories from people who grew up in like New York in the 70s, and they're like, I worked at a grocery store sacking groceries.
Right.
I had an apartment. I could support my family doing that.
Okay, you're in my parents, Akash. My dad got here in like 1988. He's like graduated, had a PhD, whatever, starts as a professor. You can go from apartment to house, get a nice house. My mom worked, but she didn't necessarily have to work. My sister and I got to go to college. Like, this was a standard American dream that was cool for immigrants and for most American citizens, by and large, by 1998. Then the collapse, basically, of the banks in 2008, that removes a lot of the undergirding for a lot of people because even the people who went back into the workforce, they were mostly underemployed. So they were making money, but they didn't have benefits. They didn't have health insurance, not able to buy a house. Home prices skyrocket with cheap money at the same time, 0 interest rates. So now everybody is trying to chase the dollar because that's the only way that— how are you supposed to have kids if you don't have any money?
I agree with this.
The average childbirth in the U.S. is like $31,000. Somebody fact check me on that, please. But it is pretty expensive. Okay, all right. Well, I want to put out good information.
Do you think also, I agree, that makes a lot of sense. So another part could be religion specifically, more than all these other factors. If there is, because I am religious, but religion is, they always say, the opiate of the masses.
Right.
As that loses a foothold, people start to be less like it's okay to. There's a lot of like it's okay to be poor if you're religious.
So that's a
because God
conservative
will reward
argument.
us in the end.
I buy some of that. I think. Look, this is all like multifaceted. There's no one explanation for any of this. Like that's the religious example. Like, well, the moment we lost God, then we stopped having care about kids. We stopped about community involvement, and that's when people start worshiping the dollar. But I'm a little bit skeptical of that because we've had high periods of religiosity in the U.S., which coincide with high periods of making a shitload of money. So if you look at like the Second Great Awakening here in the U.S., major Protestant gains was like during the 1970s, right before the massive boom of the 1980s with financializations. Evangelicalism was tied directly to the boom after Reagan became president in 1983. So it's not like one-to-one, right?
Yeah,
but
it's not one-to-one,
at the same time, it's part of it. Like I would just say, look, when America, like the number one cause of death for 18 to 49 right now is opioid drug overdose. If you are a young person, whenever you're surveyed, by and large, you're saying that you're not getting married because you don't have enough money. A lot of young males, I don't know if you guys saw this, actually, I'm fascinated by this, which is that the number of young single men today is 63%. The number of young single women is like 31%. So everyone's like, well, how does that make sense? Younger women are dating older men because they have more money. They have more resources.
G's up.
And when you look at it, that's actually not a good thing.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
think
not
about
good.
Tell that to my wife.
Wait, why isn't that good? I think that's always how it's been.
Well, yes, it's always been that
yeah.
way to a certain extent. But when we had gender parity, it was basically a male was able to attract a woman of his own age because he had the social proof, the resources. So one of the big problems we have right now is that, and you know, you
digging bitches.
well, you could
Seems
say
that's
that.
what you're describing.
Actually, though,
What you're describing,
it's not all money.
what
though.
you're saying
it's not all
is
money.
that young guys don't have enough money.
You know what's fact?
for gold digging bitches? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that the system is structured in a way that men are no longer attracted to women, specifically young single women. So why is that? So if you look at
Why am I single, Saagar?
maybe it's the haircut.
Dude, I
Oh,
feel
yeah,
like
wait.
an insult,
Can I
man.
speak out for the Flagrant 2 podcast listeners who
Yes.
sometimes miss out on the visuals as an avid listener
Yeah,
myself?
yeah.
Andrew currently has his hair in front of his eyes.
Yes.
I know you're driving your car and you're probably it's driving you crazy. Not speaking from personal experience or anything
yeah.
like that. Anyway, so
You know,
Check it out on
Yeah,
YouTube ladder. Check it out ladder on YouTube. You can
Yes.
see my sick haircut. bro.
oh, there-
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like
He's doing a sequel to this movie, actually. This is why he's
oh
trying to-
yeah,
Jack.
Simple Jack.
fucking great movie.
Dude,
man.
okay,
Great
so
movie.
yeah, I agree with you. I
college,
think it
college.
is.
Don't
I think it
even
is
forget that.
multifaceted.
Yeah, yes.
I do subscribe to that a little bit. I think that as you have like a reduction of religiosity, you have a different priority in terms of your life, right? When God is the first thing in your life, building a family centered around that devotion to God seems like the best available option.
Yes.
And I think that when God is no longer the focal point of your life, you are individualized in your pursuits, and then that will take you into oftentimes a career, and that career will maybe extend your single life and definitely extend your life without children.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think a lot of these different things, I think that's what you're trying to tap into as well. But I agree with you. It's like, it's a peculiar time. I'm actually okay. I don't think we should have dogmatic patriotism. Okay, let me back up on this. So, I don't think we should have dogmatic patriot. What is that called?
jingoism.
Jingoism. Yeah. I do think that we should hold the government accountable. I think we should hold ourselves accountable. But at the same time, I think patriotism can exist outside of what the current government is doing.
Yes.
Right? Because the government is a function of the people that we elect. Right? So we can elect some new ones and do some different stuff, and then we can be more proud of ourselves. But the ideals of America, we should always be proud of that. We should always be patriotic about the ideals.
Right.
So how do we create these two different scenarios where we're like, yo, the government's fucking up, we're gonna change it, and we know we can change it because we have to uplift these ideals.
The problem is we're electorally like in a doom spiral, where if you look at the Trump inaugural address 2016, it was extraordinary because very few times in American history has a president come in and said everything sucks. Like the American Carnage speech. Usually the inauguration
What's
is
the
about
American Carnage
That
speech?
was the title of his inauguration, where he was like, our decade of American carnage is over. And he was describing like a country rotted out without its promise, how he was going to restore it. But it was a negative, not necessarily a hopeful message. That's how he won the election, to be clear. But part of the issue with that is that American politicians almost always tried to come from a position of, like, if you think about the FDR famous, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Yeah.
That was, okay, we're in a bad state, the Great Depression, it's
Gonna
been
get
awful.
better.
We're going to get out of it.
Yes.
But that really wasn't the tone. And if you look also, even at the reason why I think Biden ultimately won in 2020 is he was still willing to offer that like
Hope.
boomer level of hope. Just
want
like,
hope.
America's great, man. Come on, man. You know, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's like a foundational American spirit. So I
Human.
agree with you, but the problem is that for politicians right now, and media also, let's be honest, is there's actually a new study just came out that negative headlines click more, that negativity creates more engagement.
course.
Of course it does. Like, look, we're all living in the real world here. Like we have to. So the problem is that negativity is what drives more political engagement.
Negativity is what drives curiosity.
Yes,
It takes
of
our
course.
attention because negativity kills you when we were living in the fucking jungle,
Bingo,
right? Like
right.
a lion's coming.
You have to be cynicism. You have to be
I'm
like,
gonna think
what's
about
going
that
on?
fucking lion,
You have to be
right?
cynical to
If a little
survive.
piece of fruit is there, I'm like, oh yeah, fruit's everywhere. I don't give a fuck.
Well, there's a good argument to be made. There's a time in American history called the Age of Acrimony, which was between the Civil War and during the Gilded Age. So basically like 1870 to like 1895 or something like that. That was actually the highest period of American democratic participation. So a lot of people don't like to hear that, which is that the time when we disagreed with each other the most, that's when most people were involved in politics.
To your
you know what
point.
that was over? That was over what? That was like, should black people be allowed to vote in the South? Like, how should Jim Crow be? Should we have Reconstruction or not? Should we tax billionaires
But
or
that's
not?
also like you know how like the majority of 21-year-olds go to a bar and drink?
Yes.
It's like they just got the ability.
Yeah.
So I think black people are like, let me try this voting
that's,
thing
that's
out.
not a bad.
You know what I mean? Like, of course they're going to vote for a little.
When were they
So
allowed to vote?
I think we're looking at
1865 is when slavery ends,
Correct.
and then when
I
do
don't think they
black
were allowed
people
to vote.
get?
Well, that's the thing about like actual voter. Look, voter participation then is difficult. More what I'm pegging is not the overall number, but percentage based of overall voters participating in the process.
Right,
To your
that
point.
was during the Age of Acrimony.
To your point, the
Yeah.
highest voter participation I've seen in my lifetime was 2020.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And but guess
In the
what?
same age of
The
acrimony.
number one reason that people voted for Joe
Division
Biden
is what makes people vote.
The number one reason people
Yeah.
voted for Joe Biden was they're like, I fucking hate Trump. They're like, I don't
Yeah.
care about anything about Biden.
Nobody
I just
voted
hate
for
Trump.
Biden.
Well, I mean,
No.
oh, they voted against. Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Nobody voted for
I was like, how deep are we going?
We do know this election was it was rigged.
Recount it.
obviously. Okay. So can you explain to me right now why there is a cultural apathy right now? This is kind of what I feel.
Yeah.
But I feel like people are far less engaged.
Yes.
I feel like nobody gives a fuck about pretty much anything. And for some things, some people think it's good. I don't know if it's exactly good. But for example, for comedy, I think you can say anything you want on stage anymore. I don't think there's anything taboo. Talk about any subject. It doesn't matter. I don't think anybody's getting canceled, thrown out, whatever.
On stage, sure.
On stage.
Right, yeah.
On stage. Where there was a time 5 years ago where it was like, oh my God, you're taking that opinion? That's fucking dangerous. What's wrong with you? You're crazy. I think that time is kind of done. I think there's an overall apathy. I think there's global economic collapse, right? At our doorstep. Nobody cares. One phone call maybe to a friend like, yo, is Chase going down? No? Okay. All right, I'm good. Yeah. Like, don't even make me look into it. I have a group chat with 3 friends where we didn't even Google. We hit our one friend, and he was like, no, you're good.
Chase is good.
We took his word for it. Isn't that fucking crazy?
He was right, actually.
He was
So,
right.
yeah.
So why is there this cultural apathy? Why do you think? You don't have to give us the actual answer. Obviously, it's hard to prove. Why do you think we just don't care right now?
I mean, it's, again, atomization. I would say atomization is probably it. Number one. As in,
Don't
everybody.
do that shit where you say a word and act like we know what it is. You
Son,
just made
I
that
went
up.
to science.
Yeah.
You made that up.
I'm
Splitting
still thinking
apart.
of jingle wisdom.
Google it.
I don't
Google
know
it.
what that is.
You made that up.
Google it.
What is
Google,
atomization?
Google atomization.
Is that when you
Atomization
take your
is
rib out to make some
basically-
pussy and then you fuck it?
Atomization is give me an official definition. But my
Atomization.
my
It's
layman's
lonely beating off by
refers to
myself.
breaking bonds in substances to obtain its content atoms in a gas phase. So
That
basically, basically
apply to what you
breaking
said, though.
apart. No, because it's breaking apart from a collective whole. So as in,
Son, if
when
your
I say
teeth were more
atomization,
fucked up, I wouldn't believe in it.
All right.
But you can say that word with them teeth, and I'm just like, nah, this guy's smart, bro. Look at his perfect ass
it's
teeth.
all in the teeth.
Yes, it is.
All right, so I would say it's individualism. So, for example, like when we look at the number of friends that men report having, the number has dropped from, I believe it was like 4 to 5 close friends 20 years ago. Now it's significantly higher percentage of 1 and 0. The 0 number has actually gone up the highest. This gets back to the single
That's
male
scary.
problem.
That's very scary.
Well, the other thing is
No, that's not true. They're
men-
friends with Andrew Tate.
Yeah, that's right. Men, though, are losing interest in almost all of society. And this is what I worry about the most. So, people talk about suicide rate, right?
Yes.
People are looking at, they're like, oh, social media is driving teen girl suicide. I'm not saying it's not a problem, but males commit suicide at 4 times the rate that women do. Or if you look at right now,
We're
for
better.
college- Okay, go
Hey.
ahead.
No,
Well,
we're
we're
just
actually better at killing ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're
Right.
going to be better.
Well,
So
we
you-
use more lethal. Actually, the real reason is that most men shoot themselves in the head, and then women. There's something about the way that women. I don't. By the way, suicide hotline, etc. If you need help, do that. Okay, so. Listen, I don't need to be.
Hey guys, if you're going through something right now, just put on some fucking Ocean's Avenue, and you're gonna feel so better.
Actually,
okay?
Ocean's Avenue is a great song. So
Come on,
if I was feeling
guys, like,
suicide,
hey, don't
I
kill
would play that.
yourselves. If you're thinking about doing it,
Yeah.
do what I do. Just cover one eye with some hair and go out there and take on the day.
I should have known better.
Okay,
Yeah.
come
Okay.
on, dude. If Ryan Sheckler can do it, you can do it.
Wait, Miles, can you look up the ways that men kill themselves and the way that women kill themselves? So, from what I understand it, women
Yeah.
are more likely to take pills, something that doesn't involve I guess
Yeah.
like messing with their beautification.
It's cuter.
Because like if you think about it, it's like a gruesome act to like
if this
blow out your
doesn't
own
work out, I
brains.
still want to be pretty.
Yes, no, but like there's something about that where they're much more likely to like take pills and like men are just very much more likely to reach for the gun.
We're efficient. We're
So
very efficient
The problem
people.
with that though is the male suicide rate is very high. Single men are dropping out of college at a By the way, the gender disparity right now in college is fucking insane. We're talking like 60-40 for incoming freshman classes.
Yeah, but isn't this like we've realized that it's just not worth it?
Yeah, but that's not that's a problem though, because a lot of women who have college degrees do not want to date men who don't have college degrees.
Until they make some money.
Okay, but that's the issue, right?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
that when you don't have a 4-year college degree, you're not going to make enough money to be a desirable mate. And so right now, in terms of what we're seeing, a lot of women who have college degrees, even if they are willing to marry somebody who doesn't have a college degree, that person needs to be like a very high earner.
Are
Like
women making-
150 to 200,000.
Are women making more than men now at a younger age?
So that's a great point. So, 10 years ago, what did we hear? Lean in, wage gap, wage gap, wage gap. The wage gap right now is bullshit. Like, you can pull this up, Miles, please, which is that women are out
That's
earning
your Miles
men.
right there.
Okay.
Come on, bro. I feel like you've been
all right.
I've been Googling my ass off, and
Women now out earning men in major cities.
This is good.
Yeah, okay, but we solved it. Like, we're good. We
Yeah.
don't need to hear it anymore. Like, now we have a actual gender disparity crisis
Yes.
of boys and men are like not going to college, making less money, killing themselves at high rates, don't have, there you go. In New York City, young women now out earn men, especially under 30. The way that everybody talks about the
to be
wage gap
fair,
right now.
and I agree with you, but to be fair, this says in 22 of 250 cities. That means in 10% of cities.
Yeah, but
women
what
make-
percent GDP is concentrated in those 22 cities? Like, we're looking at New York City, Chicago, San Francisco.
He got me.
Like,
He got me. He got me.
Bodied you just now. God
My man
damn.
can't- he got me. My man can't get better.
Dickhead.
Yo, he can't really say,
bro.
Man out earning women in Jacksonville. I'm like, who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck?
Say what you
Yo, you can't really say concentrated, but you got me on that
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
though. I don't know what
You
cities
said
it is.
another
You gotta look
fucking
it
word
up.
that wasn't even concentrated.
What did I say?
Conflict. What is
Something.
it? It was something.
Yeah.
My hair dropped on that one.
GDP.
I like that.
All right.
I was about to call the suicide hotline, bro. This is
Yeah, it's not good.
Listen,
It's not good.
I like
I hate that we
sins,
have
not
another
Rogan got
Indians,
mad at
bro.
me for saying noblesse oblige.
What does
I
that
always thought
mean?
was fine. What do you think it means?
Noblesse
Let's break it-
oblige?
Noblesse oblige. Break it down.
Noblesse.
Noblesse oblige.
Oblige is like obligated.
Obligation. So what's
Yeah.
noblesse? Nobility. So it's like the obligation of nobility. So the idea of noblesse oblige is the responsibility
I
of
would have been so
privileged
upset if
people
you used that
to
shit.
act with generosity. The idea is that if you were, it's like that with great power comes great responsibility.
Let them eat
So
cake.
it's like No, actually, it's the opposite of let them eat cake.
Yo, you're a fucking idiot.
Hey, dude, stop acting like you know things, bro. We've got a guy that knows things right here, and let's just fucking listen to him and explain our French things.
Be like
dude.
these no pussy getting guys.
That's
Just
how
kill
I
yourself,
knew.
bro.
Come on, dude.
That time I knew I was wrong, for the record. But the other time I really thought
Hey,
I got
stop
it.
being defensive about it, dude. Just fucking
Okay.
let it happen, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah.
Come on, dude. Come on, dude.
Let down all your Indians, bro.
No, we got one here. That's thank God.
Noblesse oblige, bro. Come on. All right, guys, let's take a break for a second because Manscaped is expanding. Yes, they've got your balls and dick looking amazing. They have the best ball and dick trimmers in the business, gooch too, maybe even some thighs if you're Greek. They can make your penis look so absolutely delicious in such a quick amount of time. Incredible. But you know what else they're going to do? Not only does your dick look good, something else needs to look good first so that your partner can get to your dick. That dude that you're smashing out. Or that chick. Okay? And you know what that is? Your beard, man. Your beard. Yeah, you got a beautiful dick. It's delicious. But if your beard is looking crazy, no girl's going to go down there and just fucking throat that thing. You need a beard that's gonna make the woman or man you love open their throat. Open their throat for you. The point that I'm trying to make is Manscaped has got you. Now listen to this copy. Gentlemen, meet the Beard Hedger Pro Kit. It is the ultimate package that makes it easier than ever to craft your signature look. It all starts with the cordless electric beard trimmer. The beard trimmer is tough on air but smooth on your face. This waterproof, cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. The Pro Kit also comes with 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care. This includes Manscaped's beard shampoo and conditioner, beard oil, beard balm. Style and shimmer your new beard. Plus, the kit has 3 gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors. Guys, you're going to get all this and 20% off and free shipping with our code Flagrant at manscaped.com. Think about that. Manscaped.com. Use our promo code Flagrant, 20% off and free shipping, and your balls, your dick, and your beard are going to look immaculate. Thank us later. Now let's get back to the show. All right, guys, we're going to take a break for a second because God forbid you get into an accident. God forbid you get into an accident. You might be entitled for some money if you do. You might be entitled for something. You get into this horrible car accident, it's not your fault. You're entitled for something. There are plenty of different ways where you injure yourself, and you're entitled for something. You could be getting some real money, especially if you're working with Morgan & Morgan, the absolute best in the business. Unfortunately, you can't sue for haircuts. I've asked them explicitly. They're saying no. But you might not have the same predicament that I do. You might be entitled for something, and Morgan & Morgan has made the process of finding out if you can so easy. It's not even like calling a law firm. It's like using an app. That's how simple it is. Submitting a claim to Morgan & Morgan, it's like ordering takeouts. Okay, that's what it feels like. With Morgan & Morgan, you can submit a claim without ever having to leave the couch. In 8 clicks or less, you can submit a claim to Morgan & Morgan. Why do you want to do it with them? Well, because they have over $15 billion recovered for clients. Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 800 lawyers. I'm telling you right now, if you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/flagrant or dial pound law. That's pound 529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/flagrant or pound law, pound 529 from your cell. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, wait a minute. You were saying, so young kids are being gay or something.
Actually, I'm not sure if well, that's a separate issue.
Wait, are they?
Okay. What?
Is there a higher rate?
Oh, I mean, if you guys want to get into it, we can look at the
Finish this point.
Dude,
Finish
come
this
on
point.
with the stats, bro. Like, hit us with the fucking stats, dude.
Yeah.
How many young pole smokers do we have in America?
You just gotta power through. You just gotta power through.
All right.
And
Are
eventually,
you describing gay sex? What exactly are you trying to
Keep
say?
powering through.
man?
Here's a good one.
Yeah, what is a good one?
Young people are having dramatically less sex than they ever have before.
Old people too.
So-
Married people who live in Soho, people who do podcasts instead of comedy.
Wait, can someone pull those stats up for me?
someone. What do you mean, someone, bro? I'm right here.
Are you doing the screen?
Yes, bro.
Are you doing the screen? I
Yes.
can't tell.
Hey,
Come on.
Statswalla, pull those stats up.
Don't call me a stats waller. Don't call me a stats waller.
Come on,
You really should do screen mirroring because
Yo, he
it's
said you
it's
can't do
confusing.
nothing. He said you can't do stats.
Yo, look this shit up, bro. Look this shit up.
Yo, Saga, we good. Don't come to me, bro. Don't come to me, bro.
Chill out. Yeah,
Yeah, how does it feel when
chill out.
Indians
It's a better
outsource, yo?
experience.
How does it feel when you get outsourced too, white boy?
Dude. Oh, dude. Fucking take that. Take that.
All right, so what do we got?
Come on, bro. What'd you write?
Why is
Saagar
Saagar
so gay?
Why is he?
What's the answer?
got
Trump
me,
Jr. blasts load at Texas journalist. Look at Wait a minute. You're from Texas and you're a journalist? You got me. What a coincidence, dude. Come on, bro. Come on, dude.
All right,
Someone tell me
pull
another
up
song.
pull up the amount, not men having sex, just young people having less sex. So
Yeah.
there is actually, young people are engaging in like less risky activity. Young people are having less sex. They're not.
You think it's possible young people are just being honest now because that's valuable?
That's possible.
Like
Actually,
in the 80s,
look,
if you were
you're
young,
not
not
wrong.
getting any pussy, you were like, nah, I'm getting all the pussy.
Yeah, but the teen pregnancy rate was actually pretty. Well, I guess if you think about it, abortion was legal then, so I don't actually know. There you go. Why today's teens are having so much less sex?
don't know if they
young
are,
people
bro.
in America are having less sex than young people used to. Courtship and sexual changes have frequently accompanied disruptive technologies.
Yeah,
I
smartphones
don't
would
blame
be-
technology. Actually, I'm not sure that that's right.
What you mean?
I really don't know. I think a lot of it comes down to like just it's like you said. There's like a lack of national vision project.
They're
like
also
people
drinking
don't feel
less. They're
bought
doing less
into.
drugs.
Well, no, they're doing
Bro.
more pot. They're doing more pot, less drinking.
Bro, this is it with the sex and the courtship.
All right, hit me.
Dude, no, come on.
Come on.
Can I explain it, dude? Yeah. It's in the 80s, most guys didn't know how good dick tasted, dude.
Right.
Well, that bombed.
Yeah,
So bad, bro. I lost my accent. Dude, that bombed so bad I lost my accent. No, I think what it is back in the day before social media, girls had access to the dudes that would hit on them. Right? They couldn't just be with an NBA star because you had to be fucking shameless to be with an NBA star. You have to be shameless. You have to go to their hotel.
You have to like go to
Wait
the
for
yellow
them.
pages.
No self-respecting girl is gonna go to a guy's hotel room and just wait, but that's how you met them back in the day, right? Or you like knew another famous person. Hopefully you were invited to some party where maybe they were there and then you shamelessly approach them. Now they're just DMing you. So the average girl has access to so many more successful guys than they did back in the day. So I think younger guys are competing with NBA stars. Younger guys are competing with, singers and rappers and all this other shit. And it's a lot more difficult for
There's
them.
something to that.
I think
Top
that's it. It's
10%
very
of men
simple.
on social media, on
Yeah, it just makes
dating
sense.
apps get like 90% of the swipe. Someone needs to pull
Whatever
up
it
the
is.
stats.
The point is this. Is back in the day when
Someone needs to pull up those stats.
They gave him a little
somebody
wink
was
to
good
the
at his
side.
job.
You don't even have a name. Voila. Listen,
He wouldn't even look at it. He's like, someone.
dude, have some respect, bro. Yo, these Indians like
if
servants,
someone had
bro.
a mirrored display, then we could easily find it.
I see him getting
no,
more
real quick,
racist
real
as
quick.
this episode
Yeah,
progresses.
we're gonna bring it out of you. But real quick, what happened initially was when the dating apps came out. Like I have buddies that are some of my like close friends. They had more fascinating sex lives than I did, and I was on TV, and I actually had like some clout.
Yeah.
But just from swiping, they were having fucking threesomes, foursomes. It was a meat market when dating apps first came out.
So like, what was it, 2011, I guess?
Well, it was people just meeting up right to the house. Fuck, this is a great thing because girls don't need to feel the public shame, right? You don't have to tell any of your friends what dominates a woman's sex life: public humiliation or shame, right? Oh, you fucked all those people. A guy goes right to your house, fucks. If you like it, you keep doing it. If you don't like it, you move on, right? There's
Right.
no shame. That body never happened. right? So they could just have all this anonymous sex. Here's why.
Yeah.
All right, stop it, Mark. Stop
That's
it.
the only thing I can find.
Stop it,
It's the only thing I can find,
Okay,
Saagar.
anyway.
Sorry.
So the point is, what I'm trying to say is like, initially, girls do that, and then they realize, oh, we're just getting meat marketed, we're upset, and then they reject that. So the first year was fucking insane.
Just
I'm telling you.
pandemonium.
It was
First few years.
maybe the first. I mean, you remember it. It was the easiest thing
I was in
the
college
world
during
to
this. I
get
feel like I
laid.
missed it. Yeah.
Shockingly easy, right? My friends who had no fame at all, way more interesting sex lives. I'd worked my whole life to be able to fuck whenever I wanted. And my boy Jamil was working at Expedia, pounding puss like a fucking Rolling Stone. It was unbelievable what he was going through. And I think that girls got tired of that. And they're like, wait, I'm not
should
just be used box when I also have NBA players in my DMs. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
yes,
the
yes, yes.
adjustment kind of happens. I think that's completely reasonable. Now, those girls are going to hit an age where they might still be single, and then they go, oh God, these guys won't take me seriously. And then the age of settling down just might get adjusted.
So we do know the age of settling down has moved forward. We know that the average marital age now, it's like 28. If somebody wants to look that up. And,
You can't call him Mark. You can't say Mark. You can't say Mark.
if he does mirror display, then we can't. All right, what do we got here?
Why
There we go.
can't you just-
27 and 29. I was fucking right. So if we average that out, it's 28. So 27 years old for women, 29 years
I
old
like this
for men. This
Never
is
wrong.
significantly higher though than what it was. Also, though, I'll take it back to Charles Murray. He wrote a great. By the way, that's a whole other he who must not be named. But Charles Murray,
Is he the bell curve guy?
yeah, he's the bell curve guy.
Yikes.
So he's gotten in trouble. He did write a great book, which was
Yeah.
Biden's favorite book. So I'll just put that out there, called "Coming Apart." And what he points out is the.
Why are you laughing, bro? Why are you laughing at that? What is coming apart is what America's doing right now.
Well, look, he called it at the time. So
Yeah.
what he pointed out is that, let's say pre-World
Wait, is
War
that
II.
what he meant? Like literally
Yeah, no.
C-U-M-I-N-G apart?
No.
Oh, I thought we're like everybody's an incel, so we're not fucking, we're literally coming apart.
What he was saying is that America was splitting apart. And what he pointed out is that we are
How
having
the fuck
basically.
did you think that's what he was saying?
I said it as a joke first, and then you said it again. I was like,
because you
oh
said
my
that's
God.
what America's doing right now. And I said, yeah, we are coming apart.
We're
That's
technically
what the
coming apart.
Well, I guess both ways we're coming apart. Okay. So coming apart.
Are we coming apart?
We are coming
Why can't
apart.
we come together? Dude, why can't, hey, Mark, why don't you bring up some porn so we could just come together?
Yeah, dude.
Oh wait, do you pull up the God? What's it called? The Charles Murray quiz. I forget exactly what it is.
Oh, let's not do that here.
Oh, you don't have to take it now. I'm just saying people should go and check. It's the bubble quiz. That's what it is.
Do you
Anyway.
want to do an IQ quiz?
Huh?
Is that
Oh, I'd be happy to. All right, yeah. Me and Akash will go.
Of all the races on the planet.
Dude, you know who loves this Charles Murray book? Fucking Jews and Indians love this. I wonder why.
I'm
The
not a fan
highest
of the bell curve.
IQs just tend to love the Charles Murray book.
There's no endorsement of the bell curve.
Yeah,
just saying,
yeah.
coming apart, what he pointed out is that the way that we meet our spouses today is radically different than almost all of human society. So,
Yeah.
pre-World War II, what happened is when you were growing up in your town,
Yeah.
you're probably growing up in a rural community, 20,000 people. The available mates that you had to select, it didn't really have anything to do with education. It was like, yeah, we get along pretty well. We're like 17. We're just going to get married.
Yeah.
Then what happens? World War II, the greatest internal migration in modern American history. 10 million people join the army. They move all around. They go to San Francisco, New York. They meet all these people. They start businesses. When they come back with their buddies, blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden, we have a great resorting. We get more income. When you get more income, what happens? You usually are going to go for higher cultural taste, usually. So you go to college. So once you go to college, you want to meet somebody who also has gone to college. Murray's point is that that's like selective mating. So what we did is we went from community level mating to then university level sorting, and now what we're having is multiple generations of that type of sorting. So for example, parents who went to college, they have kids. Those kids then are going to even better colleges. Those kids are marrying kids who went to those same colleges. Their kids are going to like the Ivy League or whatever. Like they're totally out of step though with people who never entered that rat race. That's what the coming apart idea is. So the idea, and the whole bubble quiz is basically about if you are second, third generation upper middle class, you have almost nothing in common with somebody who is multi-generation, did not go to college, lives 5 miles from their mom in Appalachia. You probably have more in common with somebody in the UK, in Paris, you probably all watch the same TV show. So one of the things that he talks about in the bubble quiz, he's like, have you ever watched like NCIS? And it's like, no, like, but guess what? NCIS is the most popular show in the whole country.
Yeah, there's 40
like
different cities.
15 million people. And it's like, but we all probably watch The Last of Us, right? Or something like that. Like The Last was White Lotus. That's prestige TV. That's only X million people, but those people are all the cultural tastemakers. So the point that Murray makes is that coming apart is a multi-generational class difference, as in whether you shop at Whole Foods is a very good predictor of whether you voted for a Democrat or not. Whether you even have a Whole Foods in your neighborhood is a pretty good predictor of your political affiliation. Whether, like, for example, Branson, this is my favorite one. What does the name Branson mean to you guys?
Missouri.
What do you guys think? Okay, so you said Missouri. What do you think? Branson.
The Virgin Atlantic.
Yeah, for me, Richard Branson.
Yeah, Richard Branson.
Yeah, you actually subtract points. You're more in the bubble if you say Richard Branson.
You
You're
fucking
not in the bubble if you say
elitist
Branson, Missouri.
pricks.
Branson, Missouri is like
elitist fucks.
Yeah, it's like a country music.
the
place.
everyman.
I had no idea. I'm like, where the fuck
You
is Branson,
guys are
Missouri?
such
I don't even know what this
snobs.
is. They ride duck
Goddamn,
boats around.
dog.
Yeah.
You
They
don't
listen
know
to
about
country
riverboat
music and
casinos,
play.
you fucks.
So you're just more dumb.
Yeah.
I'm more dumb.
No, he's
Al,
more in
say a
touch.
sentence.
He's more in touch.
I'm in a bubble, baby.
If you ever had a family member who served in the military, you're less likely to be in the bubble. Like any connection with, have you ever, one of the questions is like, have you ever walked on a factory floor? Do you have any, have you ever been sore from working about your job, like physical labor?
I have some pushback on this.
Okay.
I think it's a very interesting theory. And I think that the internet completely neutralizes it.
What do you mean?
There is a cultural homogeneity that has been created by the internet. When I was younger and I grew up in New York and I would go to school in California, the way that we dressed was different, the way we spoke was different, the way that we interacted with people was different, the way that we shook hands was different, like the way that we danced was different.
Even talk, honestly.
Everything, literally everything was different. It was so obvious. It was painfully obvious that I was from New York when I was in Santa Barbara. Now this next generation of kids, they all use the same slang. They all have the same dance moves. They all have the same outfits. They can buy the same clothing because they get everything from the internet.
Yeah.
The disparity of a kid who grows up in New York and a kid that grows up in, maybe Florida isn't the exact example, because if you have like a very strong cultural stranglehold, like San Francisco hip hop culture has like a really unique cultural stranglehold, but you're not, it's not so different. It's not so strange and it's not so obscure. And I think that's what the internet does, kind of like really brought us all together.
I think
brought
you're
us
kind of
in the
making my
bubble.
point though, which is that what I'm talking about is class homogeneity, as in.
I think it crosses class because most people have access to the internet. So I think that, like, for example, youth, not us. I think you got to look at the youth. The youth isn't watching White Lotus.
That's true.
Maybe they're watching Last of Us because they played the video game.
Right.
But they're not watching White Lotus. I agree with you. White Lotus is like some coastal elite shit that like we think everybody watches, nobody
great
fucking
show.
watches.
It's a great
Great
show.
show.
Yeah, great show.
And
Yeah.
an awesome show.
Yeah.
But the reality is most people don't know what
Most
the
people
fuck
have no
you're
idea
talking
what it is. Yeah.
and even the show in its essence is like wouldn't it be nice to go to Sicily? Like, it's just such an elitist thing. Like, bad things happen when you go on vacation, right? Like, it's just what a naughty idea, right? These people are working at a factory, like, vacation.
Yeah, they're like, my vacation is going to fucking Disney World.
My mom is leukemia.
Disney World is a dream trip for most people.
100%.
It's like a big thing.
So I just think that the younger generation, they're gonna grow up knowing everything about one another. And they are not gonna be surprised that if there's a TV show, I think like when you look at even like meme culture is gonna decide which shows are hot or not.
Yes.
I don't see White Lotus memes.
Right.
I see Last of Us, I see The Boys, I see all these other things. So I'm very curious what happens to this theory in 10 years.
I still think that class is just, okay, for example, if this were true, then we would see declining rates in college, like attending college, like the elite markers of institutions. All of those still really exist. Like most young kids who are upper middle class still really want to go to college. Like, yes, less, but they still want to go to the Ivy League institutions. They still want to be a doctor, or be in finance, be in any high prestige kind of activity. And those people, by and large, are the people who run the country. They have all the money. They are the cultural tastemakers.
I do think there's
Well, some are and some
Now
aren't.
these poor people are, they're like, well, fuck, I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna work in a Gap like my older brother.
Right.
He's stacked with these crazy
But
loans.
that's because a lot of people started going to college. Some 42% of I think 42% of Americans have attended a 4-year college degree institution. Part of the problem with the student loan forgiveness thing is that it's not really solving the root of the problem, as in, this is part of why I was against it. If you wipe out the debt today, it will have the same level of debt in 5 years.
The issue isn't the debt. The issue is that it's
the system is fucking rigged. Yeah, exactly. It's like these people, like Princeton. For example, Princeton is a great example. Did a whole thing on this. They have enough money to admit every single kid for free and still make a profit off their endowment.
Yes.
They just don't do it.
Can you real quick explain an endowment?
Okay, so a university endowment. Universities are nonprofit, technically nonprofit. They have nonprofit status, which means that they are able to take extra money that they generate and put it into managed funds like the stock market, LPs in venture capital,
Fucking
etc.
brilliant.
So all the money a school makes,
yes,
they can
extra
put
money.
into extra money after they pay for obviously all the buildings or whatever. They can put into a fund and invest that fund. And for example, I think Harvard's fund is worth
there you go, $53.2 billion,
$53
which I
billion
believe is more than some small African nations
So
in
look,
terms of their
$53
GDP.
billion. Let's say you're very conservative. You're making 5% on $53 billion. Statwalla, can you do that real quick? Can you do 5%?
I'm sure you can find a chart too of Harvard endowment growth over the year, but Harvard, Harvard,
million,
Yale, Princeton,
250
all these
million?
other, these people
So
are printing money.
So that's $250 million that they're making just in interest a year.
Off the principal.
Off the principal, right? So what
And
if you just
tax-free.
reinvested that into the students that are going
But they
there?
don't. And that actually, and then the limited amount that
What
they
do? They do it is they give it to teachers that go sneak viruses over to China. That's what they do.
Even worse. I wish
Right?
I wish they were doing that because at least that would be scientific. What they're actually
They
doing.
do that, no?
Well, they
Wasn't
did
he
do that.
sneaky, little sneaky guy?
Well, actually, I don't know if that was
Sneaking away to
university.
China?
That was more NIH funding. Anyway, the problem is they're actually mostly hiring diversity, equity, and inclusion staffers, like administrators.
To tie up, but I think Andrew's point, there is a lot of validity to it.
Yeah.
But to Saagar's point, where does most of the cultural immersion happen and the like elitist ideas and like progress and equality, what equality? It happens in college.
Yes.
When you're
It's all
immersed
college.
for 4 years in this like-minded thing.
Yes.
And we have kept a lot of lower income people from that. There is a barrier to
not
entry
only
that keeps them from
There's
that.
now generations of that. So we now had people who went to college, raised their kids in that, then sent their kids to that. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I'm telling you, I've said this story before, but when I did shows in Toledo, Ohio, and saw Toledo, everything about how Trump got elected made sense.
Of course.
They don't see it as, we see it as racism.
Right.
They see it as this was once a city that had jobs and factories, and now there's nothing. And so when you say "Make America Great Again," that means something to me beyond racism.
Right. Well, exactly.
And it's just generations of this
if
thing
you're
that
living
you
in
talked about.
Soho, here in Soho, if you're in New York, like, listen, your idea of the world, this is actually part of what drives me crazy, which is like, all I'm at, those people, they know that they are hated by the cultural elites. By and large, they're very aware of what's going on in San Francisco, New York, whatever. They're just like, that's not really for me. But a lot of New Yorkers, San Francisco, like cultural elites, they want the people in Ohio to be like them. They're like, why are you nasty, people not agreeing with everything that I say? Why don't you like venerate my job or hold the exact same values as me? In my experience, I actually think a lot of them are much more live and let live. Today, not necessarily 20, 30
person
years
in
ago.
New York
Yeah.
ever even thinks about a person in Ohio.
Right.
They don't even care if their beliefs are
No,
the same.
but they pay attention to them when they vote in the election,
They
and they're like,
only
what the
pay
fuck is
attention
going on?
if their vote affects. If the Ohio vote affects the New York
that's
vote,
fair.
Yes.
That's
they're
fair.
not.
Yes,
they're
yes,
not.
yes.
That's
You're
why I
right.
get annoyed when
Yeah.
like you hear these cultural elites be like, "Oh, the conservatives are voting against their interests." You don't even know what they're interested in.
You don't know any of them.
You got
You've
no
never
clue.
spoken to them.
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
fucking dude. There's this comic. Oh God, I gotta get his fucking name. He had this hilarious joke about abortion.
Oh,
bro.
Jeff.
Jeff Asmus. He has a great joke about
he's
abortion.
great.
liberals
He's
joke?
great.
Yeah.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Jeff.
He goes,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
abortion is he goes, it's such a conservative thing when you think about it. I mean, it's just dead liberals. He goes, we're not aborting any electricians or factory workers.
it's so
we're
funny.
aborting theater majors. Bro, it is
That's
brilliant.
so funny.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a funny gun, man. He's a funny one.
He had a joke, I'm gonna butcher it, but he basically tells everybody like he doesn't care that Brittany Griner was in jail or whatever, and they're all offended. He goes, "Oh, you guys really care about Brittany Griner?" They all start clapping. He goes, "Hey, quick question: what team does Brittany Griner play for?"
Right.
And then no one answers in the
course.
entire audience. I fucked it up, but
I don't
it's a
even
great
know.
bit. Look
Yeah.
it up so you can see it done better than me.
But it's cool to see comedy coming from a conservative angle.
I wouldn't even call that conservative. I would say that's anti-establishment. Or anti, like, what would you call it?
Fair
like
enough.
yeah, but that's important, right? Which is that.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
I love it. I think it's great. I think you need it all. It can't be too, I don't know.
One of my favorite, the way of when I found you guys was that viral clip of somebody, Comedy Central executives losing their job, and you're like, I don't want to celebrate anybody losing their job.
Yeah, dance on graves, bro.
That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Now
I was
they,
like, yo, this is funny as hell.
now they all work at Netflix. But yeah, that was great. That was so much fun.
Well, you've always been kind to Netflix execs as well.
Yeah, I
and the
love,
futures that they
I love
have.
everybody. You know what I mean? I'm like Kanye, you know?
You said New Yorkers don't think about people in the middle of the country or like
they don't.
conservative states, but I do feel like there's a general feeling of disdain. And I feel like that's what you're talking
That's
about.
what I'm talking
It's
about.
like disgust.
Like, it's like what Andrew said. Whenever they said the voting against your interests.
Yeah, it's like
It's
you're
No,
giving
it's-
it.
Apathy, maybe? Like a...
I feel like it's disdain. I say I'm from Florida on stage and people just go, ugh.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like immediately.
There's
I'm saying
I've-
that to you.
there's
I
It's
get
the
that.
hair. It's the hair. Yeah.
Florida is its own unique thing. The way that Americans feel, and Americans, look how fucking arrogant that is. The way that
talk
New
that
Yorkers
shit.
feel about like flyover states or
Nebraska,
whatever it is,
Nebraska.
Nebraska, whatever, is it's pure condescension.
Yeah.
It is like,
Yeah, it's
how
infantile.
could you live
Yeah.
there?
Oh,
Like,
you're
why
adorable.
would you do that?
You're
to
from
yourself?
Indiana?
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
It's a nice place.
It's awesome. But that's the thing. It's like worse than disdain.
Yeah,
Disdain means that like you actually have a feeling.
Like, I
towards
think
someone.
about it a lot.
Yeah, like you're chewing on it, you're stewing on it. Like this is just like, why would
why'd
you?
you? Why
Dude,
would you?
and but it's really dumb. To be honest, it's stupid because
ridiculous.
they've never been over there. They haven't seen life over there. And what I think is hilarious is like now these coastal elites love watching Yellowstone and shit like that. Like they're just finding out like it's nice to
Did you
walk.
know how nice it is out west? I'm
Oh,
like,
son,
yeah, I did.
The
actually.
second they
Yeah.
move, have you ever talked to somebody who moved to like Charlotte from New
yes,
York?
yes, yeah.
They
100%.
can't believe everybody's not living over there.
dude, it's-
Life is so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
better. It's so
It's like-
easy.
I bet you feel this way.
Yeah.
Like I went to Austin.
Yes.
Some guy was like, "Hey, bro, I love your show." He goes, "Welcome to Austin." He's wearing like a pearl necklace, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, when did you move here?" And he's like, 2 years ago. I was like, "Yeah, I'm born and raised in Texas, but yeah, thank you.
hate
I
that.
appreciate it.
I
Yeah,
resent
Welcome
Austin.
back. Yeah,
Yeah,
welcome
yeah.
to my state.
I resent
Yeah,
Austin because it's a bunch of coastal elites still looking down on Texas while living in Texas.
Like, it's fun. It's a fun city now. It's a good place to be. I mean, when I was
Fuck
growing
you,
up,
Austin,
it was
you
small.
cucks.
Look, I mean, it's one of those where I don't know why it's not okay to be coastal. Like, listen, I like fucking White Lotus.
I gotta just behave. It's
I
just,
like
without even
drip
knowing.
coffee.
I don't know Austin.
You're the reason why guns can't be legal.
I don't know Austin.
You are the reason.
I don't know Austin.
No.
When did you start going to Austin?
No.
2009?
Yeah.
When did you start going to Austin?
Wait, how were you vacationing there?
Yeah, we went to Austin all the time. Well, no, it's 4 or 5 times as kids.
To do what? Drink?
No, I went to the party
Were
a
you
couple
partying?
times.
Debate
I went to the
tournaments,
party a
debate
couple
tournaments.
times.
That's why I went.
Yeah. Everybody, if you're in Texas, it's 3 hours from Dallas.
Yeah.
So it was a
bet
trip that we
I
took.
bet you I've been to Austin more than you.
Nah, you have not.
You said you went 4 or 5 times as a kid,
Yeah.
and then since then,
3 times in the past year, I guess.
I think I've been just as many times. Okay, maybe more times.
Yeah,
to be honest
but he
with
changed
you.
it.
Yeah.
Now he changed it.
Both of them are kind of backing up.
No, but
You've
like
been
the
more
Weakest
times-
debate ever.
You've been more times in the past 3 years.
I've been to Austin more. No, me.
Yeah, where would this rank on your debate contest?
Pretty late.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
Listen. Is Austin a fucking first world city? No. Does it have some interesting things going on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is actually a good transition to Rogan's Club.
Oh yeah. What'd you guys think?
It
You guys just
was
went there, right?
awesome.
It was
It was
awesome.
awesome there.
Yeah. So I was there on Saturday.
awesome.
I was lucky. Actually, my dad had an accident and hurt his leg, so I had to go back to Texas because my mom was in India. But I was back there, so I went to go back to help him out just before she could come. And I was happened to be there, and I was flying out of Austin, so I was like, "Hey, man, I'm flying out on Sunday." Like, dude, invited me to the club. Holy shit, it was
it's great.
awesome.
I've heard
Yeah,
it's
it was
crazy.
awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, it's fun for me as an audience. I mean, you guys get to perform, right?
Yeah.
Like, I actually get to like take it in and be with the audience. Man, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's just like the Comedy Store.
It
really
is. It is.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. Okay, first of all, I was like very against Austin being a possible comedy city.
Interesting.
I just didn't
Yeah.
think the math worked out. I was like, there's like 300,000 people. Now I think there might be like 1 million people that live in Austin. It's like
Metro
blowing
area.
up. But like
You want to pull that up?
initially, the
Austin metro
population
area.
density
Yeah.
just wasn't there, in my opinion, for what I thought
Right.
would be there, right? And then an interesting thing happened. Like,
Oh wow.
what is it?
2.2 million.
So this is crazy,
Yeah.
right? Now, interesting thing happens. Austin has 2 million people. It has no professional sports teams.
Yes.
I don't consider the soccer team like a
But
professional
UT
sports
is
team.
massive.
Well, but it's not professional.
Yes.
It's a college team.
Yes.
That's fine, but not professional. The only professional sport they have is comedy.
I was gonna, ah.
Comedy has become the professional sport. Now, add on the fact that there is already a culture of going out to listen to music.
Yeah, live music.
That is how people party. That is
Right.
how people, you go to the bar, you listen to music. It is normal for them.
And it's always been that way.
And it's
Yeah.
always been that way. So it's normal for them to just go out and indulge in live entertainment. You don't have to like train them that that's part of their life. There are some cities where you have to train them. There's a reason why the comedy clubs right now in New York, right? You have the Comedy Cellar, we have the Village Lantern where we were performing at. They're all in the same area. What else happens in that area? There's live entertainment.
Right.
Right? And so when people were going for live entertainment,
that
oh,
makes
maybe I check
sense.
out comedy,
That makes
maybe I
sense.
check out music, right?
Right.
But training a people that it is normal to go to a comedy show takes fucking time.
Yeah.
That's not quick.
Yeah, Miami, I don't know if they have like a live music scene. Like, let's go out and listen to
But
music.
you guys did well in Miami. I attended that show. I loved it.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
different because we're not the average
Okay. Yeah. That makes
kind of
sense.
person, right?
You're not
Like,
starting out at
exactly,
Okay.
right?
All right.
What I would say about Miami
Yeah.
is a perfect example. Like Miami is Latin Americans' version of America in the same way that like Hawaii is Asians' version of America. So the things that exist and are popular in Latin America are going to succeed in
Yes,
Miami.
makes sense.
Baseball, yes, we're into it. Soccer, we're into it.
Yeah, club
Bas-
nights, going out dancing and
Clubs,
shit.
Yes.
Basketball,
Right.
Heat games are empty.
Yes.
Because basketball's
It's not part of it.
a cultural
Totally
thing
makes
in
sense.
Latin America, right? And you'll see the
Yeah.
exact same thing happen in Hawaii. So you have this group of people that like going out, they like being entertained. It's like perfect for that, right? You have these clubs that start to get built up, and then you have the biggest name in media that moves there, and he's like, I'm gonna put everything into this fucking club. And he makes this great club. The crazy thing, a lot of people don't even know this about the club. It's like, Rogan's like, I don't even care if it makes money.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's like, I just wanted to break even.
You can't compete with that.
Yeah, I know.
You can't. It's like
Yeah.
he goes, I just want it. I just want it to break even. Think about that.
Yeah.
He doesn't need it to make money. Dude, he won't let me say what it is, but he said I could talk kind of about it. But the way that he's paying comics,
It's bananas.
bro,
Bananas.
it's like it's just complete game changer. Like I don't know how the other clubs will react.
Yeah.
Because they're in it to make money.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's developed a model where it's like he doesn't want to make
But to
money.
be fair, he's like, I'm still gonna do the Vulcan. I'm still gonna do like
Bro,
Creek in the Cave.
Which is the sweetest thing.
so
which is
here-
very nice. He does not have
So
to do that.
here's
Yeah,
the
like-
here's the other, this is the other thing that's crazy. This is if you work at the club, a lot of people that work at the club are comics. You can check out of your shift to go do a spot, and then come back
in another place.
In another place,
That's wild.
Yeah.
like and then come back in.
And the other place can't be mad because Rogan will still perform at
Right.
your venue.
Yeah. It's
So
literally
if
like
you find
Robin Hood
out-
shit.
yeah.
Yes.
He
So
like
he's-
took money from Spotify and is literally distributing it to comics
good.
in an insane way.
So it's like this crazy kind of situation you haven't even seen before. And now you have all these other, like down the block, there's the Vulcan. Another block away, there's the Creek. There's another comedy club that's coming up a couple blocks. So in this one space, you can pop around and do 5 or 6 spots. Only New York can you do that. You can't do that in LA.
Really? Oh, I guess
LA,
yeah,
you're
to drive.
driving.
It's
far.
You're
Yeah.
driving, maybe you make it.
Makes sense.
It's like a trickier thing to do.
You can hit the 3 clubs maybe, and then you're making what, $75 in that night maybe.
Yeah. In perspective, I only did the little room when I went, and I did like 4 shows there, and I made money on the trip on just doing the little room.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
120
Also, Andrew paid
people
for my
or
flight, so that helps.
Yeah.
But even
Someone
if I,
else wasn't trying to profit on the trips, it's very easy to make money.
Yeah.
when
so that
I
helps.
don't care about
that
that.
helps a lot.
business.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
good
actually not
business.
bad,
Yeah,
right? I've been doing this for a while. Yeah,
Don't
people are
ever mention
getting.
that again. I didn't even
even
know
if
he
I
was
paid
getting
for it-
paid to perform. I would have said pay for your own fucking trip down there. What is this about?
Even if I did pay for it, though, I still would have made money. That's
You
the
did a
crazy.
Venmo request, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, it was just like I don't know. He's just doing. He's creating a fuck. It's just an insane thing to do.
And the way he described it was so cool. He was like, people always think, oh, when you're a kid and you make a bunch of money, you're like, oh, what am I gonna do with it? And you have all these crazy ideas. He literally was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the thing, like
Dude.
I'm gonna make a comedy club with all my friends and pay them all so well.
I asked him. I was
And
like,
the
dude,
vibe, too, is
how
fun.
did-
Oh, it's
I was
awesome.
like,
Vibe
why
is
have you
awesome.
not been caught up in like just the bitter like jealousy and like rage that so often happens within the entertainment industry? Like it's very like actors fucking hate each other, comedians fucking hate each other. Like how the hell are you just so supportive of everybody? You want everybody to win. And he was like, martial arts. Because he's a very competitive dude.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like Rogan's a fucking insanely competitive dude. But with comedy, he's competitive, But at the same time, he wants everybody to win and everybody succeed. And he's like, it's martial arts. It's like, it's a different thing happens when you're like training with your brothers. You guys are going at it. You're literally trying to tap each other out while at the same time helping each other get better.
Get better, yeah, that makes sense.
And it's like, you can do that with comedy. And that kind of made sense. It was the only thing that made sense why he was this way. You need that instilled in you from another discipline, and you need proof that it works.
Yes.
And you do get better at jiu-jitsu when you're training with a guy that's better than you. And it doesn't take away from that guy's jiu-jitsu. His doesn't get worse because
Right.
you get better.
Yes.
He might even get a little bit better.
Yeah.
And when I kind of saw like that and we explained it like that, I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. Both rooms are great. They're great for different reasons. That little room is great because it allows you to develop connection. You can learn how to like lock in with an audience. You're not necessarily just kind of speaking at them. Oftentimes in big rooms, you can get away with just speaking at them, right? You do a theater, you're not connecting, especially if you're a young comic developing in like theaters, like you're not really connecting, right?
Yeah.
There's 3,000 people just laughing at you. When you have 40 people or 100 people, whatever that room is, you gotta look them in the eyes.
Right.
You can't fake them. You can't be a phony in front of a small crowd. And then the big room reminds me of the store, and you learn how to perform. So once you learn how to connect in that little room, now you go to the big room and you learn how to perform. You learn how to fill space. A lot of times people, you know, if you only develop in small rooms, you don't know how to handle a room that has 1,000 seats.
like a cacophony of
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
It's a
yeah.
different energy. You don't know the breathing of an audience in a room that size. You don't know how to build that tension and then like release it. You know, they're different arts that rarely you're able to do both in a night
That is true. I
and
didn't
able to
even think about
see the
that.
difference in both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
So a young comic that's going to develop there is going to get like a really well-rounded experience.
Do you
of
think
performance.
this is the death of LA? And also, do you have any other cities where this could happen? Even if there's no Rogan, I have a possible candidate in mind, but not having Rogan could be big.
So death of LA, I don't know. This is what I think. I think once this pay scale is out there in the world,
Which it will happen.
it will. If you're a young comic, are you going to come to New York and toil away in obscurity for 4 years in destitute poverty? And being in New York rich is the shit. Being New York poor,
It's not
probably
even
suck.
America. I've been poor in New York. I swear so many times I was like, this is not America. Like I'm sleep. There's so many fucking mice running by my face. This is not the America my parents were promised.
Yeah.
and for that same money, you were living okay maybe in a part of Texas.
In
Okay,
Texas,
right.
in Austin's an expensive city in Texas.
Yes.
You can live a good life.
You can still like
decent
split
life.
a house with some
Decent
guys.
life.
Yeah,
30
it's not
minutes
bad.
out of the city.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a car. You'll have a car out there much easier. So live in a suburb, live in Pflugerville, drive in. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
Pflugerville's a place you would know if you were a Texan, but it's like an hour.
Most people who just moved to Austin are like, what, Pflugerville? What?
Yeah.
So you went there?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You drove through it.
Yeah, I drove through it.
You're so much better at Austin.
I'm just a real Texan. So my gripes are from a Texan. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
But the candidate, I think, potentially.
But real quick, just to finish that idea is like, so do you come here and then compete with the best comics in the world for stage time, which is going to be very difficult? Or do you go to a new city where the best comics in the world haven't moved there yet and the new ones
They're
haven't
gonna.
developed into it yet? There's stage time and money
Yeah.
and 7 clubs without the same level of competition. So if you're a brand new comic, do you go there for 4 years before you come to New York?
Right.
Do you go there for 4 or 5 years before you go to LA and try to be, in sitcoms or whatever the fuck you want to do? Do you learn and develop your craft in this place? To me, I'm like, wow, that is a very intriguing possibility.
But do you think that you guys, like for the whole like iron sharpens iron, like do you think it was better off that you guys came up in cutthroat New York?
For me, it was.
Like you made it.
But I
right?
think-
you guys actually made it, which is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yes, but
Yeah.
you have to understand, like, most comics aren't going up against iron early in their life. They're at open mics.
I was.
Listen, no, but
Dead ass.
But for real, and you too. And we were lucky we had some people, but like one of the most valuable things we had was barking. And that means handing out tickets in exchange for stage time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that exists to the same level that it existed when we were there.
No.
Like it felt like almost every club allowed you to like bark for stage time. The beauty of that is you got to go up with iron.
Yes.
You got to follow a Greer Barnes when you were a year in comedy, and you got to see what is amazing and what is not even fucking close. When you're just doing open mics or you're doing like shows that are like, you know, privately booked shows, you're going up with people around your level, right?
Right.
And living with rats and destitute poverty.
Yes. So it sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like, and like if you're from Indiana, do you come here and just do that for 4 years, or do you go to Austin, develop a little bit of an act, and then when it's ready to go up against some iron, come here?
Or if you get lucky, you're a door guy there, and then you're following Tony Hinchcliffe in
And
a
then
little
you go,
room.
yeah.
Well, additionally, because Rogan has got the top thing there, it's going to foster, I think, ideally, an environment where everybody helps everybody in that martial arts style he talked about.
Yeah.
That didn't exist in New York. I think he helped me a lot. I tried to help as much as I could here, but like,
Well, you guys'
that was a
situation is
rare
very
thing.
unique, right? Like this right here.
Most of comedy is an isolated, you have blinders on, you just get funny. Austin could potentially be a community where everybody helps everybody and builds everybody
Rogan
else
will
up.
make that happen.
And
out
they
there.
are though, bro. I got off stage and like one of the door guys I'd never really met before was like, dude, here's a tag. Here's something you could maybe try with that joke. Like
Yeah.
it felt very communal.
Yeah.
Because they
He
all
does that,
identify as
man.
Mothership guys. They're like, yo, yeah, we are Mothership dudes.
They were all very cool. I got to meet some of them
Yeah.
afterwards. I was like, damn, man. And they're all fucking funny. That's actually the key. I was like, you guys are just funny.
Bro,
Like,
there's
it's funny.
hilarious
Like,
guys
yeah.
out there, man.
Dude, Derek, man.
Dude,
Derek's
Derek-
a monster. though.
I told him before, I was like, dude, that
So
guy,
good.
that episode, the trans episode, man. I was like, I almost
Daisy.
crashed my car.
Daisy. But yeah, no, Derek, I mean, like watching him, he fucking murdered
Yeah, he was
on the
ripping
show.
it.
He was so fucking
good.
funny.
He
He's
still
so
has his,
good.
I won't ruin it, the TSA bit. Which
Oh,
he does.
amazing. Amazing.
That-
So
that's it.
good.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's just like, yeah, seeing a guy like that start. So that's your like up and coming class
Yeah.
there. And now those guys, instead of like thugging it out through open mics, not really knowing if the material is going to work for a real audience, now they have sold out shows to go up in front of every single night. So if they're that good now,
Yeah.
imagine what happens 2 years from now, 3 years from now. It's like,
And because Joe's not so concerned with making money, he's able to be like, oh, this guy is super talented, but he's not like perfect yet, but let's put him up in the little room a bunch and really like train him and get him good. Because he's not so concerned with like, oh, are people gonna come back? Are they gonna keep paying tickets to come
All
back
right,
to the
off
shows?
his name, they'll be buying it for the next 3 straight years.
Yeah, and he
I'm like,
doesn't care.
By the
He-
way, it's funny. I was like, yeah, I told my friends, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to. They're like, how'd you get tickets? How'd you get in?
Nobody
Like,
can get
everybody I
tickets.
know wants to go in. I was like, oh,
Nobody
yeah,
can get
yeah. Like, can I come? I'm like, no, not really. Like, I'm sorry.
and think
Yeah.
about it, it's like every weekend a new person pops in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Tim Dillon's down there right now.
Timmy's down there with Giannis, right? We're
Shane's
down there
down
during the
there.
week.
Yeah.
Shane's there. Chappelle's popping in. It's like every weekend a new random massive act is just gonna drop in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the appeal of the seller, anybody could drop in.
Yeah.
The appeal of Joe Rogan's club, anybody could drop
Yeah,
in.
financially it makes sense, and the hang is awesome. Like Joe takes care of everyone. Like you go down there and
It's
like
a sweet bar, the Mitzi's bar.
yeah, downstairs everyone's hanging. It just feels cool.
New York and LA scenes are completely different.
You don't need it like you used to.
But what Rogan has done, and I hope it happens in other industries, but it really just takes somebody willing to do it. And the reality is, in competitive industries like comedy, like news, like anything, you're fighting for what you believe are scraps.
Yes.
So you don't think there's more to go around.
Right.
Right? And that's why there never is anybody who does it.
Yes.
And then the person who's willing to do it, he is novel. Right. And that is why we talk about him, in this way so often in the show. It's just like, it is fucking unique. I wish people knew like what the real comedy world was. It's a lot of like, you're dapping somebody up, you're talking to them, they're talking trash about their best friend.
Yeah.
Right to you.
Yeah.
You're like, I know you guys are friends. Why would you talk about him like that? What are you gonna say
Put it this
about
way,
me?
the George Lopez clip didn't surprise most, probably you
Most
either.
people, yeah.
Definitely, if you're a comic, you're like,
You
yeah,
couldn't say
that's
anything.
nothing was.
I'm not
It's
saying,
just rare
but,
that
like,
you see somebody like organized like this and then reward the people that are working hard, the people that are good, and also continuing that culture. Like if there's a selfish motherfucker who's just out there for, what they can get out of it and like squashing everybody else, please believe that person is not rewarded. You know what I mean?
Like they're not going to get on. They're not going to get promoted. You guys aren't going to have them on. It's not going to be like a
Fuck
fun
them.
thing. That's actually what I take a lot of inspiration and I look to you guys because news is still in that category. Like it's funny because I was in this similar situation. Like I was White House correspondent. I was in the press briefing room. I had 2 options. I was like, I could stay, classic job. I was made man, like going on Fox News, doing my hits. I was like in the system, invited to all the parties, blah, blah. But I was like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
And I grew up with Rogan. And then that was what I took inspiration. Like, and then I met Crystal and it actually clicked. And I was like, hey, like we could do something different. Dude, how many people told me not to take the job? How many people told me not to start the show?
Yeah.
They said, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're not gonna go on Fox anymore?
Yeah.
You're gonna give up all this?
Yeah.
Like, how can... Now they're like, hey, can I come on the show? Oh, that's interesting. What's the podcast ranked at? Can I come? I just wrote a book. My assistant. I'm like, I don't care, dude.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like you said. It was cable by definition. If you're on CNN, you're not on MSNBC.
Yep.
If you're on MSNBC, you're not. But with us, we're like, oh, you're on of rival, whatever. Come on, let's
the
promote it.
ethos of
Let's
the
get
show.
it going, and then more people will watch us. And I always say, subscribe to their Substack. People are like, why are you doing that? Because you want to promote your own thing. I'm like, no, dude.
Put them on.
People want us to promote better people.
Bro, you know what it is?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone over to Little India in New York, on like 6th
Which one?
Street? There's two, that's
Wait,
right.
Curry Hill
There's Curry
or
Hill, and then
like,
there's the one on 6th
Spice
Street.
Row.
But there's both.
Spice Row
Spice Row
is
is 6th Street, but there's
I've only been
also
to Curry
Curry
Hill.
Hill,
Yeah.
right? Perfect example. It's like you would think that by having multiple Indian restaurants on the same street,
Yes, they
they
would
would
cannibalize
hurt
each
each other.
other. No,
No, the opposite.
Right.
It makes people go, that's the place for Indian
Yes,
food.
yes.
I want to try all of them. I want to make sure this food is good.
Exactly.
And if the places are cool with one another, they get to exchange information. They're like, yo, these white people do not fuck with dal. Get the pooty bread
they
out.
definitely do
whatever.
like dal.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Dolls the shit, though.
whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. For me, seeing it from that perspective,
That's a smart point. I like that. Which is like, this is the district, this is the ecosystem. And I think it's fun. I mean, look, I wish we could still change it. I think there's a lot more to do. In a lot of ways, news is like the most lagging part. Like, you know, the internet came for comedy when? Like 15 years ago? Like it's just now happening in news.
Yeah.
Like the Joe Rogan podcast came out in 2009.
Yeah.
News is just now starting. It's one of those where like we're so far behind the times, but I do think it's a good thing because they are so propped up and like, and man, it's like you said, they're all the
who's
co-hosts.
doing what you guys are doing that are like young and hungry, and you would like to promote them. Who
Oh,
else
sure.
is doing?
I mean,
good
like Crystal's fiance, Kyle Kalinske. He's actually one of the OGs that was
Yeah,
on there. I know
Kyle,
connected
for
you with
sure.
him. I mean, a lot of them. Russell Brand is doing stuff like this now. Glenn Greenwald actually has that new show.
Yeah.
On system. Matt Taibbi is doing it for
Yeah.
print journalism.
Yeah.
All of these guys are. David Sirota actually got Lever News. On the right, Tim Pool is. I mean, look, undeniable. His show is massive.
Yeah.
Like. This is my thing. Like, put the value judgment aside. I want more people to watch things like that because we have time. Like, you and I are sitting here talking about the single male crisis. Like, we're fucking around, making jokes, like all that stuff. But this is serious shit. Like, this is not something that when I would go on Fox, one time they were like, hey, we're going to talk about American nationalism. You have 3 minutes and there's 3 people on the panel.
you get your one
What am I
talking
supposed
point
to say?
out. Like you can't do anything nuanced.
And also, you talk like a fake person. You're like, yeah, that's right. And one of the reasons why is because of this one particular statistic. And I'll see you later. Right?
Yeah.
What am I doing here? You know,
Yeah.
I'm not. And I hated that. But everybody is so comfortable with that system that they like it, right? Because that's where the paychecks come from.
Yeah.
They're so used to talking shit, going to the same restaurants, going to the same parties. And I was like, hey, this is all bullshit. Like,
Golden handcuffs, man.
you know, it's funny. I remember in the press briefing room, one of the funniest things is that every TV correspondent asks the same question. You know why? Because they all need videotape of them on their own network asking that question. So during the Trump, so there's CNN, Fox, MSNBC, ABC, all that. Every single one of them asked the same version of the same question in the press briefing room at the conference.
Even though it's already been answered.
Even though it's already been answered. You know why? Because they need video of them on their
So
network.
what does the president do when he gets asked the same question again?
He loves it because he gets to answer. Also, they get pre-picked.
eats up
by
time
the
answering the
they
same question.
Yeah, he's like, I bid 30 minutes with the press. What are you talking about? I'm free and transparent and open.
So he'll
When you're
say
like,
the exact same
dude,
thing
it's
over
the
and over again.
same shit.
Is it
Especially with
verbatim or is it his
It's
answer?
a slight tweak. But it's like, come on, man. It's like during the, like when Sarah Sanders, that was the time that I was there. She would be like, all right, first question, Mueller. Second question, Mueller. Third question, Mueller. And it's because Jim Acosta has to be on CNN sparring with Sarah Sanders. And then Peter Alexander at NBC, he needs to be on NBC sparring with Sarah Sanders. And then ABC needs to spar. So it's the
it's
same
like
shit
political theater
over
nonsense.
and over. And I was
Yeah.
like, hey, what about the other stuff that people care about?
No.
What's going on with Trump, like the government? Are we going to war? I remember everybody in the press ridiculed me for saying, do you think Kim Jong-un is serious about peace talks? They're like, why didn't you ask about Mueller? They fucking had one of the most important major press, like foreign policy moves of all time whenever Trump met with Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
And we all recognized it as such. But at that time, I don't even remember what the fuck was going on. Some Jeff Sessions bullshit or whatever. Yeah. And they were like, whoa, you didn't ask about Jeff Sessions? I was like, I don't know. I just think nuclear war is more important. What was shit like that?
If there was one, maybe you already just touched on it. What was the most disappointing thing peeking behind the curtain?
That was I mean, look, man, I always loved politics. I was the political kid, in school. Like Iraq War is why I got into it. And I get to the press corps, top of the most cutthroat of the cutthroat motherfuckers make it into the press briefing room. And I was like, this is it though?
Yeah.
I was like,
They stopped being cutthroat when
I
they
worked
get in
this
there.
hard to get here. I was like, and wait. So, one of the best pieces of advice I got was, if you want to be like the way that you're in a good career is look at the guy who's 10 years ahead of you. And I'm looking at these 65-year-old motherfuckers
Not envying
doing
them
the
at all.
same shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I got to get out of here.
Okay.
I was like, I'm in a prison.
Yeah.
Like,
All right, guys, we're going to take a break for a second because y'all need some tickets, man. Y'all going to need tickets to sold-out events. And where are you going to go get them? You're going to use some untrusted website, probably going to rip you off, or you're going to go with the GOAT, SeatGeek. SeatGeek has got your back. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, comedy shows, and more. I'm telling you. Music? You want to go to a show? Do you want to see Ed Sheeran? When I saw Ed Sheeran, I used SeatGeek to get the tickets, and then I ran it back one more time. That's what I can do. Why are you going to use SeatGeek? Well, because they actually look out for you. They are going to put a nice little green dot on the good deals, red dot on the bad deals. Think about that. They're letting you know if you can get a better deal out there. They have your back. They put all the tickets across the web in one place so they know if the deal is good or not. And every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. So if you use our code Flagrant, you're going to get $20 off at SeatGeek. What does that mean? That means that your ticket just got better. That means that ticket just got closer. You just got closer to the action. All you have to do is use that app and make sure you use the code Flagrant. You're getting $20 off at SeatGeek. Make sure you use it, support this show, and enjoy whatever you're going to see. Let's get back to the show. Peace. All right, guys, listen, we're back and we've made a change. We've swapped Indians. Akash in the motherfucking pilot seat once again. And we got to talk about a little bit of this March Madness.
We told y'all, place your bets. The underdogs are going to win.
Listen, as simple as that. We told you.
It's all underdogs, basically.
Yeah.
San Diego State. Who the fuck are they?
Nobody's.
FAU.
Fun party school. In the same party school.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Not a good basketball school. FAU. You ever even heard of them?
Wait a minute. You know who went to San Diego State?
Who?
Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, that's right. Boardman gets paid.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they've ever done. Now they're in the Final Four.
Let's go.
Miami, party school, great at football historically,
Bro.
never good at basketball.
Princeton?
Princeton damn near made it. They made it to the Sweet 16, I think, or
Yeah,
Elite 8 maybe.
They got beaten by Creighton.
But and Creighton made it to the Elite 8. It's just crazy. This is the tournament. You got to make your bets. Bet on the underdogs. Get some money.
Yeah. I mean, now it's so hard to tell. I mean, I've been so tapped out from college basketball, I'll be honest with you.
Me too, but that's why it don't matter, bro.
I
just bet
haven't.
underdogs.
I haven't.
No, I'm telling you, it don't matter. Just bet underdogs. If you watch college basketball all year, the #1 overall lost, Arkansas.
Yeah.
I think every 1 seed got eliminated dumb early. There's no 1 seeds left. The highest seed left is 4. You don't have to watch. Just bet. Just bet.
That's a good ass point.
BetOnline.ag.
You don't have to watch to bet.
No, you gotta watch. Just bet
Because
the
that's
underdog.
exactly what I did.
Yep. Yep. Hey,
Yo, and it was just as fun.
it really is.
You could make an argument it's more fun.
It's more fun. You're not emotionally invested. You're just seeing if you win or lose.
That's it.
And you're betting on dogs, and dogs are winning.
Who we betting with?
Son, bet the lowest. Bet FAU. Why not? The highest odds.
That's a good ass point. All right, so then we're going with FAU.
Yeah.
And then we're going with, I guess, Miami?
Yeah, let's just bet Miami. Why the fuck not?
All right, shout out. Florida. All Florida finals.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah, where you betting?
BetOnline.ag.
What
you
happens
know
if
that.
you use the code Flagrant?
Shit. Matching 50% of the initial deposit bonus up to $1,000.
God damn. We back in it.
Let's swap Indians. I have a question
Yeah.
for you. Now that you control completely what stories you
Yes.
talk about, whatever you do, whatever you're interested in,
Well, me and Crystal, but yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You guys are in control.
Yes,
There's
we're
no
in
one you're
control.
necessarily
That's
answering
right.
to or serving. Do you at all, or do you concern yourself with the erosion of patriotism based on the way that you're talking about America? For example, are you like, okay, I'm going to shit on these 3 things or 5 things because they deserve to be shit on, but are you also going, the collateral damage of that is an erosion of trust in these institutions without couching it with some great things that America's doing?
So, I mean, maybe to a certain extent, for example, the TikTok thing that we were talking about on the show. I actually had a debate with Crystal this morning about TikTok. She's on the other side. I'm for banning it. And one of the points that I'll make is I'll be like, look, at the end of the day, U.S. companies are subject to U.S. law, right? Which is Apple literally told the FBI to fuck off when they said unlock San Bernardino terrorist phone. They're like, no, we're not going to do it. And they went all the way to court and they won. TikTok quite literally can't do that to the CCP. So to believe that U.S. companies are the same as Chinese, it's like, well, then you're saying we live in China. And if we live in China, then what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
That said, at the end of the day, we also don't have that responsibility. So sometimes people will be like, hey, you have a responsibility to talk this way about this thing. I'm like, no, actually, it's the politician's job to make that case. So sometimes, okay, like if I'll say, like Iraq is a good example. I'll talk about all the mistakes the U.S. Army has made in Iraq and what we did in Iraq and how Iraq, just, in my opinion, just destroyed us. I think, like, rooted us out from the inside. It was one of the biggest mistakes in modern American history, foreign policy-wise, all this stuff. And people will be like, hey, like, you should be more respectful because people fought and died in Iraq. And I was like, yeah, but here's the thing. Like, you can't use that as a crutch for not talking about it. And I think too often people will kind of hide behind that. You're sowing distrust sometimes I'll be like, listen, to be honest, like, for example, one time I was like, yeah, I just didn't vote. And someone was like, you shouldn't say that. You're encouraging people not to vote. And I'm like, yeah, but it was a choice. Like, I actively was like, I just don't want to vote. Into that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're like, but you're supposed to encourage people to vote.
That.
I'm like, yeah, but it's a choice. Like, it's a democracy. Not voting is a choice. Like, I actively was like, I don't give a shit. It was like 2012.
Yeah.
It was like Obama versus Romney. I was like, I'm
good.
I'm not in this. Yeah.
No, you have every right to do it.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's your responsibility, but like, I know that you're someone who believes in America and like loves America. So it's like, how else can we? I guess what I'm saying is my buddy Ben Uyeda, our buddy Ben Uyeda, is a brilliant guy. I think you've met Ben maybe at like a LA show.
I say I follow him on Instagram because of you guys.
And we're just talking about like why we're proud to be American. And he had a really interesting take, and he was just like, you can access the best version of yourself here.
True, yeah, absolutely.
And like, my mom could only be herself here. I can only be myself at this level here. Of
course.
You can be yourself at this level. We can all do these things here, right? Like, if you grew up in maybe Poland, it'd be harder to build this podcasting studio out, right? Maybe there'd be absolutely no opportunity for it, right? So it's like, and I wonder if it's so enticing to read stories and watch stories about how the establishment is fucking us up. It's almost like trendy for us to be anti-establishment,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
And why would we not look into it? Why would we not watch a story about how our government is corrupt? Why would we not click on that? Why would we not, like, again, we're tapping into that fear model. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, these bankers knew it. I have to learn more about this. They're just making all this money, et cetera. When I guess it'd be really cool if we find a way, and maybe it's our own personal responsibility, to remind ourselves of the great things that this country offers.
So one of the things I do on my show, one of the books behind me is called Freedom from Fear. It's one of my favorite books. And it's specifically about how FDR got us out of the Great Depression, where we were literally on the precipice of genuine social revolution in this country by using the tools of the government. So you're right. I mean, look, whenever there is good news,
agencies,
Crystal and I do the same thing. Like, well, like the CHIPS Act, for example. That's something we both were so supportive of.
What's the CHIPS Act?
The CHIPS Act is funding from the Congress, hundreds of billions of dollars towards building semiconductor facilities here in the U.S. So, like Intel's facility, I think in Ohio, there's going to be a new Taiwan semiconductor facility in Arizona, Austin. Samsung is building. These are like, this is something we actually need. Like, it was genuinely hurting the economy, and we're like, hey, listen, no fan of Biden. He's done a lot of stupid shit.
This is a great move.
Is good. This is good stuff. I mean, I know a lot of conservative people hate the Inflation Reduction Act, but I'm very pro-nuclear power.
Yeah.
One of the good things in that is we had technology-neutral tax credits.
Yeah.
So this is, again, something you're not going to hear about. A lot of right-wingers who will attack it. And I'm like, listen, Democrats are in power, they're going to do Democrat shit.
Yeah.
The best that you can hope for is they don't keep funding failed wind and solar power when nuclear is obviously also.
Yeah.
There's not. We got that. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So you're right. Look, anytime the government does something that I'm like, Biden on Afghanistan, I defended the shit out of it. Actually cost me a lot of social capital.
Really?
But, yeah, I was like, hey, nobody ever said ending a war was fucking easy.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's better than nothing to me. Be like, look at Vietnam.
Yeah.
Same shit happened.
Yeah.
Not saying, like, show me a war that was ended easily, that you pulled out of, that you lost. Nobody ever ended it gracefully.
Yeah.
And I was like, I defended Biden on that. I mean, it's one of those where, and that's a good example though.
But I think it's
paid
great
a big
that
cost for
you're,
that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you're willing to pay the price for it.
I
And I
just don't
think
care.
that's I think that's great. One, because it makes me like trust you more. You're not just feeding into
Well, that's
like
what
my
people say.
concerns.
Right.
But also it's like I don't know. It's nice to know that we're doing some good shit too.
Of course.
And we need to be informed about that. I guess I wonder, like, used to do it with cinema so easily. And I think Maverick was almost like a little bit of a reminder, right? You watch Maverick and you're like, yo, we are kind of this shit.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like, we need to remind. Now, it's stupid that we have to use a fictitious story to reinstill that patriotism. It'd be really great if we could like focus on, I don't know.
Bro, did you see the speech of this is a 2019, it was a sergeant something when he got his Medal of Honor. And he gives this crazy speech where he's like, talking about America's military force.
Oh, it's great. It's been like memed and stuff.
Yeah. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't seen it.
Bro, it's insane. It's almost worth pulling up. But he basically is like, if you, maybe we watch 1 minute.
Yeah, let's play it.
You guys keep going. I'll pull it.
I do think you're right. There's a lot of disaster porn on the left and the right. And that's actually why the patriotism number is so low. But I think that you're right. I don't see a responsibility.
Just to clarify, like, we should call out the disasters.
Correct.
We
Yes.
should call out the government.
Yes.
We should call out these institutions every single time. I just wish that there was like another thing that supplemented our patriotism, because for Americans that don't have the opportunity to go travel the world, they don't know what they have. Dude, I know. Like, there's a reason why the people that immigrate here love it so much, right? Because they've seen what's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in the Middle East for 2 years. I went to high school in Qatar my last 2 years. I'm like, listen, people, you don't want this. You have no idea. Do you know what it's like not to be able to touch your girlfriend in public? Like, you want that? I'm like, you want to live that way? Because it's real. There are actual kings in 2023, and they behead people in the streets.
Really?
It's like you don't even know.
Did you ever watch one of those beheadings?
No, that was in Saudi, but I'm saying like, in Qatar, I mean, the whole migrant labor thing. I mean, literally while I was,
crazy.
I'll never forget this, right? So I'm Indian American, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens there? The guy goes, hey, what are you doing? I'm in a public area, bazaar. And he's like, hey, what are you doing here? And I said, excuse me? And he goes, oh, American? I was like, yeah. He goes, you're good. So what he meant by that was, if you're a migrant, get off the fucking street.
Because he's
Get
Indian.
off the street.
He assumed because he's
They thought
Indian,
I was a
he's
laborer.
a migrant. Yeah.
Yeah, they thought I was a laborer guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he goes, hey. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? My American accent. He goes, oh, American? Go ahead. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, Indians built a lot of the World Cup stadiums and all that. It's a lot of migrant labor from
Oh,
India.
dude, this is why my parents left, because the Indian laborers would come to my parents. My parents are also American citizens, and they would talk to them in Hindi and be like, they stole my passport. I don't have any money.
Oh.
They're like, I can't, they're beating me. I'm living in a room with 10 people. I went to one of those places, man, to one of these like migrant camps to buy cigarettes. Sorry, mom. Because these guys would sell cigarettes and liquor when you're like fucking 14 and just get cashed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I go into one of these, dude, there's 12 guys sleeping literally on the floor. No air conditioning. It's 115 degrees. It's like they have no passports. Every one of them, one of them is like, has an open gash on his arm, like this big. He literally is the guy who sells cigarettes to American teenagers because that's how he makes his money. And it's like modern slavery.
I remember,
it's unfucking believable.
I remember my first trip to India. I didn't go till I was 15.
Yeah.
My parents fucked up. But seeing like the slums, I remember that, and I don't know if I realized it in that moment, but I always thought about that. And when we complain about these things in America, it's like you have not seen inescapable
You ever been in
poverty.
Mumbai on the beach in the morning?
Juhu
You know what
Beach,
happens
dude.
there? They all go take a shit in the ocean. I'm not kidding there. Like, you look out the window in Mumbai, the entire beach is just full of people from the slums shitting in the ocean. And then 2 hours later, there are people kids playing in the ocean. And I'm like, get out of the ocean. I'm like, this needs to stop.
It does sound like a nice place to shit, though, right? Like, it's probably beautiful.
It's just like open, and you're like,
You haven't seen Juhu
dude,
Beach.
this is
It
like
ain't
sunrise
no,
on the beach?
Calling it an ocean is very
But
generous.
Yeah, exactly. And this was like 10 years ago. Like, I literally saw this with my own eyes, as Akash is saying. Like, you see that level of poverty. I've been to Cambodia. You see people literally walking around. Like I took a bus to Phnom, wherever Siem Reap, where the Angkor Wat is, and the tour guide is like, "Do not step off this road." He's like, "This road is the only thing clear of landmines. There's landmines there, and there's landmines there." So he's like, "If you need to piss right here on the road." And I was like a teenager.
Fuck.
I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Who put the
I'm like,
landmines there?
dude, during the Khmer Rouge Civil War, and then it's like you go to the killing fields, and the guy's like, "Hey, you guys see all that white stuff in the ground?" We're like, "Yeah, what is it?" And he's like, "Touch it, human teeth, little human teeth, scattered all over the ground."
That's where you got yours?
If you you should Google the skull tower of the killing fields. It's one of the most fucked up things. Anyway, again, these are all things that people who live in America should know, like what it's actually like out in the rest of the world.
Yeah, when I talk about American privilege,
look
that's
at
what I
this.
mean. Not this necessarily, but
this
just
is
like
real shit. This is literally just a tower of human skulls in the middle of the killing fields. Wow. And they even show you a tree. They're like, "You see this tree? This is where we used to smash the heads of babies so that we didn't waste bullets."
God.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, shit. Damn.
And do they have remorse for this at all?
I mean, it's one of the, they're like, "It happened," you know? I mean, it's not the same regime. They're just like, "Yeah, it was crazy that it happened." And this is like 1975. Like, there are people alive who participated in this who are still alive. And you're like, "Whoa, man."
Just a
like,
normal dude walking around
just-
fucking selling mangoes or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
It's like, bro.
And you're like, "Wait, so you were a child soldier and you used to kill babies and you were hopped up on meth?" And it's like, what? Like, and a lot of them are missing legs. Like, I'm not trying to paint a bad picture. What I'm saying, again, is like how grateful I am to be here.
Yeah.
And that's another point with the disaster stuff, like the way that people talk about our history and all that. One of the things I think the coolest thing about America is like a guy like me, a guy like Akash can be raised here and can resonate with the story of people we have nothing in common with. Like when I read the letters of a private who fought in the American Civil War, who's like, "I'm proud to lay my," you know, like the Glory movie, right?
Course,
like
yeah.
Massachusetts, the colonel who's happy to be killed with his black soldiers. I'm like, I can say I'm like emotional, like thinking like this guy fought, died so that we could come to this country. And like, that's a story that people in other countries don't have that. They're just like, "I'm Polish."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, "I am French." And like, that's not a
and
they
that is not
tried
to
do a
say,
national
and none of
identity,
this
but
is
it
to
doesn't really
say,
work.
none of this is to say there's not inequality
Of course
or
not. Right.
race or black people are treated as well as they could be. It's all equal. But like overall, we have just seen shit that's like, yo, this is hopelessness.
Yes.
And you've seen stuff that I haven't seen, which is like, this is fucked. And there's a level of PTSD in every single citizen in this country that none of us could ever
Now,
understand.
you don't think Polish have a national identity?
No, but I'm saying you can't move to Poland in one generation and be like, "I'm Polish. I connect with the 18 whatever revolution against Russia." Like,
It's weird that that's all you picked up
It's
on
cool
from
that
this.
they're. No. Look, I think Polish national identity is interesting. You know, if you go to the Warsaw Ghetto or whatever.
Right.
But I'm saying like you can't. America's one of the only places where you can move to, connect to a national story that
see.
again you have nothing in common with,
Yeah.
and be like, "No, this is my history."
Yeah.
Like this is something like I want to carry. Like I was here in New York and I went and bought like some Civil War memorabilia from an antique bookstore.
Which side?
What do you think? General Philip Sheridan, one of my favorite generals, Union general, and he was a cavalry commander. And again, one of the interesting things that you look at is like, why is an Indian guy doing this? Like, why? And it's like, well,
because he
to
grew
me,
up in
like,
College
one of my
Station. So where A&M is, a lot
Yes,
of
where
fights.
A&M is. But actually, they're more pro-Confederate. But the point is that that's a national identity, a story.
You think?
Like, you can read about our history. You can connect to it, even though, once again, like, you don't share any blood with that person.
Yes.
But that's the best part of it. And
Yes.
generations of people do. Like, I love reading the way that Irish Americans would connect, or even like Scottish Americans would connect with like the founding fathers. That they had nothing. The founding fathers probably would have disdained them for being like dirty, poor immigrants or whatever. But they were able to take away what they needed to build something. Even
You're bringing up something that I think that we all relate to and think is beautiful. There is a great romance to many of the stories that happen in the creation of America.
Yes.
And great sacrifice.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've heard about like the criticisms a lot of Italians even have about Italy now, that it's a country living in the past. right? And they don't feel like they're creating things and making things. They feel like they're like a museum that people come look at.
That's definitely
and no, I think that there's and this is coming from Italians. Not coming. There's Italians like I want to continue innovating. I don't want to show people the car that existed in 1923 or the same
cathedral
pasta
we
dish
built
that
like
is
900 years ago.
Exactly. Because Italians have created so much art throughout the years. Let them continue doing that. Right. That's essentially what they're saying. And I guess. I don't want America, I don't want our romance and the poetry of this country to stop with the Civil War. You know what I mean? I want it to continue now.
Yeah,
I want to hear about these things. I want to be inspired by these stories now. And I think that's really important for national identity.
Oh, of course.
Broke my fucking heart when this lady in the Pilates didn't feel comfortable wearing an American flag shirt. Like, I want you to wear that shit with pride because I want you to think about that colonel that laid his life on the line.
Robert
right?
Shaw, I think was his name.
That's what I want. Like, I want that flag to represent that. So I don't know, maybe it's a problem we can't solve in one day.
Well,
but
this actually goes to, again, this is like a cultural elite problem where they literally don't know any of this history. And they have taken like the disaster version of history and are basically trying to teach it. This was my big critique of like the 1619 Project, if you guys are familiar with that. So this was a big controversy like 2019. 1619 is the year that the first slaves ever set foot on the American continent and were brought over. It was a New York Times project where they were like, this was the real founding of America. And I think this is, look, I get it. Like, it's not something that, it's something that we should teach. It's something that we should talk about. But you're also erasing 1776.
Yeah.
But then you're erasing 1861. And you're erasing people like Colonel Shaw. And like, they're like, no, the Civil War. They're basically embracing a Southern lost cause ideology by being like, no, it was about Northern industrialists who wanted to take over the South. Yeah. I'm like, no, it was actually about preventing a slave empire, which is what you wanted at the time. As you clearly wrote. And I mean, actually, there's a great book, Battle Cry of Freedom, 1 volume, the entire American Civil War. Everybody should read that. It was written in like 1988. It's Oxford History of the United States. This book it's like captures all of this. The story, the history, the background, how it got there. And you read that and man, Akash, I bet you feel the same way. Like when you think about those idiot lost cause people that I grew up with in Texas, who were like, no, it was the war of Northern aggression. I mean, it was literally just about slavery. Like they would tell us it was about railroads or something. No, it's like, it was
states' rights. Yeah, states' rights. That's why you used to get told.
States' rights to slavery. That's it. And actually,
states' rights to what? It's not really important.
The craziest part is it wasn't even about states' rights to own slaves. They were upset that they couldn't take their slaves in the expanding United States and that they couldn't continue to import slaves from Africa.
Well, the importation had stopped already.
Well, yes, but they argued vehemently against that. And actually, they were trying to instigate coups in Nicaragua and in Brazil to start a new slave trade from Africans to Brazil to Nicaragua and then import them from, this was like literally an empire of slavery. That's what they wanted.
Yeah. My understanding is that as America was getting carved out and the states were getting carved out, they realized that they were going to lose the race. Because but for real, like you were just throwing people out to these new territories, and then it's either going to go blue or it's going to go red, depending on who goes out there. And states were just sending people out, like trying to get as many blues and many reds as possible. But if you can't keep importing slaves, you know you're eventually going to run it. And I think when they realize, oh shit, we're going to lose this democratically, it's time to secede.
That was the entire project of secession.
But you know what's interesting though? Those pussies didn't want smoke. Why didn't they try to conquer the North? Right? That's how you know. That's how you know the South is pussy.
That's not true. They tried.
When they tried?
They tried Gettysburg. The invasion of the North.
No,
Robert E. Lee.
They seceded first.
Yes, true.
Right? They were like, well, we'll just go do our slavery over here. It's like, come fight about it then.
Well, they tried. They lost. So it worked out.
Because we wanted to fight. We're like, where you going, bitch?
Yeah.
Where you going, little boy? You know what I mean? We had to little boy them. You know what I mean?
Well, it worked.
It really did.
I love the Sherman statue.
This is how much we don't fear the South. We let them have guns still.
Yeah.
We're like, you ain't gonna ever do shit. Hey, we got 1,000 genders. Why don't you do something?
I don't know about
fucking pussies.
Yeah, I don't think you want it with the South now.
Did you,
Son, do something.
Did you grow up with just
Do
as much
something.
annoying Texas is its own country as I did?
They stormed the Capitol.
Yeah, no.
And what happened? Come on, got chased out by AOC.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Nothing
Also, the
happened.
feds were definitely there, but
Yeah.
Yeah, what is
Yeah.
the whole beef with the storm the Capitol thing? Like, why is this even an issue?
I wouldn't say it's a beef. I would just say we should
is it an
recognize
issue?
that there were obviously agent provocateurs who were involved in the storming thing. Not saying they caused it, but they definitely helped instigate some of the violence. That's almost 100. That's basically verifiable.
So,
at this
an
point.
agent provocateur, for
Yes.
anybody watching at home, this
And
is. Yeah, exactly. For anybody who's not sure, an agent provocateur is someone who is working with the government.
An agent of the state or at least of authority who is trying to take a volatile situation and turn it worse.
For example,
to make it more violent.
Let's say it's a Black Lives Matter protest.
That's right.
They're walking down the street. There might be an undercover FBI agent who takes a brick, throws it through a glass window.
Let's say that it's Minnesota and a guy has a mask on and there's an umbrella that he happens to be holding and that he happens to crack open a window, which then leads to the looting of Target, which leads to the burning down of a police station. And then nobody knows who this umbrella man is. And then it turns out that he might be a white nationalist and he might be connected actually in some way to the state. But hey, this is all speculation. It's not like that would never happen.
So you're saying that happened at January 6th?
Yeah,
There-
and in Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And probably at every anti-establishment protest that's like ever
And
happened.
what is the
Yeah.
advantage of that? That you get to squash the protest because it's turned violent?
Well, now
Why
they-
does the state want
Yes,
that?
because not only do they squash the protests, the Capitol Police, despite the fact that they fucked up, got over $1 billion in new funding. Not that many people were fired. They were hailed as heroes. The National Guard spent billions of dollars basically. I was in DC at this time. It was the Green Zone from Baghdad. There were literal National Guard Humvees all up and down the streets. The Capitol is fenced off. This is the people's building. It's supposed to be. And one of the hallmarks of it was almost anybody would be able to walk in there as long as you're just getting wanded. Now it's like full-blown, like suicide bomber level security all over. We shouldn't forget either that in January 2021, there were a lot of Democratic calls for beefing up like a new Patriot Act, like 2.0, complete expansion of the surveillance state. They were going after. My favorite was the New York Times, if you want to find this, where they talked about how we need to crack. It's like New York Times encryption January 6th. Basically, they were writing about why they need to go after Signal, like encrypted messages, because people who had used. Let's find it. Yeah. If you just want to look like, New York Times encryption, January 6th, I believe it was written by Kevin Roose. And it's basically about how
Signal is an app that
as in
people
Signal,
use
the
to
app, the
message.
encrypted messaging.
and
They're
it's
like, why we
encrypted.
shouldn't have encryption. And it's the reason case they were making was, well, it was used by people on January 6th. I'm like, yeah, but people have encrypted messages for all kinds of
Right,
things.
right.
I mean, the Twitter files is obviously a good example of this too. The point being that it opened up room in the elite conversation for expanding the national security surveillance state in a way that we haven't seen in literally since the Iraq War. The BLM riots were actually a good example too. We had someone on our show specifically about a informant and agent provocateur who was inside, I believe, of the Portland BLM riots, who directly was instigating like actual violence. And all of this has come out in court documents that have been, and part of the reason why I also think I kind of have to mea culpa myself is I covered a lot of this stuff whenever it was on terrorism. So I remember my early career was all writing about ISIS and terrorism. And I remember reading some of these court documents and it'd be like, the FBI made contact with this man, 18-year-old, after he tweeted Allahu Akbar. And they were like, hey man, how's it going? You want to go to Syria? And he was like, yeah, I want to go to Syria. And he goes, you should steal your money and buy a ticket on your mom's credit card to Syria and I'll meet you at the airport. And he's like, okay, sure. And then the moment that you show up at the airport, they have you on a material support for terrorism charge and you're going to jail for like
Isn't
20
that
years.
entrapment?
Well, that's a great point. That's the point. But at the time, we were like, well, it's right on the edge, but he's an ISIS, so fuck him.
But if it's that effective, shouldn't we entrap more of them?
Well, okay, that's the FBI's argument, right? But
Like
what
if-
about this
if-
civil rights? This man is born in Ohio. He's an American citizen. Did he get entrapped? Because if he did, that's actually illegal.
Is he
Should go to
white?
jail? Yeah, see, there we go,
No.
right? No, but that's the point. Is whenever it was Muslims, most of us were willing to look the other way and be like, oh, the FBI's like, their argument was, well, this is the way that we prevent any would-be suicide bombers. And you're like, yeah, but that's
You know
a
what we
real
should do?
slippery slope, though.
This is what we should do.
Like-
You know how sluts release their DMs with famous people? Like, like, oh, fucking LeBron DM me, and they post it. That's what the FBI should do with these people who are willing to go to Syria.
Right.
Like, don't arrest them, but just be like,
these people are idiots.
Yo, Akbar is wild. Everybody be careful of Akbar. He was willing to go to Syria. Who knows what this motherfucker willing to do? And then you just let the community take care of it, and then the same thing works.
See, that would be more just.
That FBI, get on that ass.
Yeah.
But think about, like, do you guys know about the Gretchen
Do you
Whitmer
want to
trial?
go to Syria? Okay.
Just catch a predator.
Dude,
just like that.
Catch the predator.
Some of these are like this. They'll be like, hey, you should shoot up the police station and you should go buy a gun. And then I'll come and meet you. The moment you buy the gun, boom, they got you on a weapons charge. They got you on your messages. You plead guilty, you're going to jail for like a decade. Wow. If you want to look up the Gretchen Whitmer case, the number of feds.
Yes.
See, this is a perfect example. I mean,
like
there are
pretty good
more
police.
feds involved in the case than actual defendants.
I heard
it's
about
like,
this.
This is
Yeah,
insane.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
an FBI kidnapping plot,
Yeah.
which would never have happened if they weren't like, hey, we should kidnap the governor.
Gassing it up.
Yeah, they're like, you should kidnap the governor. He's like, no, I don't want to. They're like, yeah, but you should meet this guy and he'll help you with it. And you're like, no, but I don't really want to. But like, no, but you really should do it. And they talk to the other guy, you're like, hey, you should meet this guy. He
Yeah.
wants to kidnap the governor. He's like, but I don't really want to. And then they meet, and it all comes out. And you're like, there are more feds involved in this that, yeah, they go the rogue FBI informant. That's the other part. A lot of these guys are just lawless, like the way that they act. My other favorite one, Mark, if you want to find, is about the number of crimes that FBI confidential informants have been allowed to commit. It's like thousands of known crimes. As in like people who are confidential informants, yeah, there it is, allowed informants to commit 5,000 crimes, according to the FBI's own internal data. So they're like, you sign up as a confidential informant, you're like, I'm so-and-so. For example, like I'll roll up on a drug dealer. This is like the classic example, but we'll continue to let you sell some like side weed. But they knowingly in their own files have allowed over 5,000 crimes to be committed.
This is the
This is nuts.
What's the guy, the famous gangster from Boston?
Oh, Whitey Bulger.
Whitey
Yes,
Bulger.
yes,
He
Whitey
was an
Bulger,
asset
exactly.
the whole time. He was an informant the whole time, so he was able to push. But I bet that they do that with a lot of people, and to a certain extent, I wonder if it's more valuable.
Oh,
It's
maybe.
like-
I
Also,
do
what kind of
understand
crimes are
that.
these? Like,
Okay, but again, they
intent
should
to
have,
buy weed or
sure,
something?
but
Like-
they should have to answer for that. Is what
Right.
I'm saying. Is that there's no accountability on this. They don't go before Congress and like these are the number of crimes that we've been allowed to
these are
commit.
what the crimes were.
You know what I really enjoyed was that episode you guys did with Johnny Mitchell,
Yes.
the drug guy,
Yes.
fascinating guy.
Yes.
And he had a point about El Mayo, like the cartel boss. They're like, yeah, he is the guy because clearly he's in on it with the DEA.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's never been arrested before. And nobody knows where he is.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, no, we just let him exist. He's the kingpin because at least we can talk. And
Yeah.
every once in a while, he's like, yeah, the Tijuana cartel's over there. Like,
Yeah.
oh, those guys who are chainsawing people's heads off. Yeah, they're right over
Yeah.
there. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's all just like, and like, yeah, but he's also
And you
vicious
basically-
criminal in his own right.
You just
And you're
want
like,
quality control where it's like they
Yes.
have to go and say, okay, well, we allowed this guy to
Right,
do this,
exactly.
sell X amount of drugs,
Yes.
but he got this many
But
people
he got this guy,
arrested who sold
But
Y
they have
amount
to
of
make this
drugs.
case to people, and they don't. My point is that they have been effectively, they were given the greatest gift of all time after 9/11. They were given carte blanche, more money, and effective legal immunity on breaking what previously would have been the law. It's been over 20 years. They have less approval than in, I think, modern American history for federal law enforcement since like the Church Committee of the 1970s. And there's no like serious effort to rein it in. And why not? Like there should be. We can agree that BLM and Jan 6 were both obviously infiltrated.
We just
by
never
the
hear
state.
about their victories. That's the thing. We never hear about
Well, that's what
the
they say.
thwarted
Yeah.
attacks. That's what
Right.
they say,
That's
but
what
like
they say.
there's no proof.
Like
What
what?
is it, you
Like
can't
letting
prove a
Larry
negative?
Nassar molest 236
They
people?
knew the whole time?
I mean, they were tipped off. I
Faculty,
think 10 years. There were at
administrators
least
knew.
how many? I need
Crazy.
to. I don't know
they
the exact number.
They got multiple complaints, didn't do shit
Bro,
about it.
He molested, I think, at least 100 girls or something like that in the time period when he was first reported as to when the and by the way, in that case too, the FBI agent was actively trying to get a job at USA Gymnastics while he was supposed to be investigating the case. Why?
So there's no way that he's going to be objective there.
Of course, he's trying to get hired by the people who he's fucking investigating.
Holy shit.
Look at this. Yeah, not going to face charges. That's the other thing. He didn't even. He was never held to account. There are so many little girls who were molested because of this man.
Yeah.
And I can go on forever. Like there's like, the 5,000 crimes thing, which I love. Whitey Bulger is a great example as well. I think FBI and Jan 6. But I mean, even the Trump stuff. I mean, some of the things that came out for FISA, for example, you're like, this is all you need to just get a warrant on an American citizen?
Can you explain this whole Trump
been a
thing
while.
right here?
Well, what, this part?
No,
Where we
specifically.
currently are?
Yeah.
All right. So Oh man, 2005, I want to say.
Oh, we're
Donald
going
Trump,
back.
Well, that's when it starts. So Donald Trump, he's the apprentice guy, newly married to Melania.
Yeah.
I believe he's in Aspen. He meets up with a woman named Stormy Daniels.
Seen her
porn
strip.
star. Yeah.
I
okay.
went and saw her strip.
I heard
at
she made a lot of
strip
money
club
off that. Yeah.
in Dallas.
Okay. How was it?
And she got on stage, and the guys all in the front row put on their MAGA hats. I swear to God, it was amazing. And they were just making her dance while they were in their MAGA hats. It was fucking unbelievable.
Hey, you know what? That's a win-win situation.
The guys
Yeah.
in the front row,
Right.
we were wearing MAGA hats. Okay, go on.
Okay. All right. So 2005, they have their tryst. Horseface, as he famously
Only
called
Trump
her.
could call a girl he paid to
Yes.
fuck a horse.
Correct.
It's like, you paid me.
So that happens 2005. 2016, he's running for president. Multiple women come out and are trying to extort money from Trump, being like, I'm either going to go to the National Enquirer, you got to pay me. Karen McDougal, she was a Playboy model. She also got paid off. There was like this whole thing with the National Enquirer about how they were burying some of these, whatever. This is all 2018 drama.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is that Michael Cohen, the lead lawyer for Trump at that time, his personal attorney, agrees to pay her $130,000 to be quiet. Okay. Trump then uses the Trump Organization to reimburse Michael Cohen for that legal payment. That payment was recorded for legal services, not as a payoff. Now, there are two investigations that went into this. One, in 2018, when this was initially looked at, was whether this was a federal campaign finance violation. Cohen eventually pleads guilty to this payment because the payment was done explicitly for the purposes of the Trump 2020 campaign. So it should have been reported to the FEC as a payment that was related to the 2020 campaign, not a personal expense. Michael Cohen pleads guilty here in the Southern District of New York to this charge. However, Trump is never charged with a campaign finance violation. That was the federal crime. Okay.
Why?
There's a variety of reasons. So, number one, DOJ guidance says you're not allowed to indict a sitting president. But the facts of the case were you would have to, yes, you had Michael Cohen's evidence, but he could have made a convincing case that it had to do with the personal matter, as in he didn't want to offend his wife, as opposed to the campaign. So even though Cohen pled guilty to it, because he directly was the one who paid it, Trump himself, legal ambiguity was already kind of there. They didn't know if they were going to win in court. Like directly, you violated federal campaign violation. Because he could make a credible case that it was a personal payment.
What would the credible case be?
Again, that he didn't want to embarrass his wife, Melania, and it had nothing to do with the campaign. He could have made that. It was like, no, this had nothing to do with the campaign. This was like me to save face in my marriage. Like that's legally all you have to. I mean, not a bad case, right? This is something that you could make. So that they made me the case that this was personal. So that was the federal one. The state charge that Alvin Bragg, your DA, is apparently looking at bringing has nothing to do with federal campaign because he has nothing to do with campaign finance. He is looking at felony bookkeeping fraud. So felony bookkeeping fraud is a statute of limitations for 2 years. You can extend it up to 5 years if that person was out of state, as Trump was while he was at the White House. He has to prove that the bookkeeping fraud, that the payment to Michael Cohen was not only made intentionally with the purpose of a cover-up, but that intentional cover-up was in the while conducting another crime, as in the payment was to cover up a different crime.
What would the other crime be?
Well, that's the problem, which is that a lot of this hasn't come out because it's secret in the grand jury. But it's a very novel interpretation of the law. It's never actually been prosecuted in New York state law ever before. So that's number one. It's a legal theory of the case that has never been tried yet. We'll find out if he does get arrested and indicted, how that's going to work. Two is that the statute of limitations thing is a little bit weird because, as I said, the statute of limitations is 2 years if you're in the state, up to 5 years if you're out. So they have to make the case that he was out of enough time, and they're still barely on the edge of that because he's been gone, like back and forth, as how that's going to be. But to me, I just think this is the weakest case against Trump. Like legally, he faces far more legal jeopardy in the Georgia case that's going on right now, which is the Fulton County DA
fined
bringing
2,000
a case.
votes or whatever.
The fine 2,000 votes, exactly. The pressuring the state of Georgia's election procedures. He also, I mean, I don't think the Biden people can indict him now for the secret classified documents after
not.
they found classified documents in his house. But, I mean, legally, that one's probably the most open and shut case.
Yeah.
Where they have him, like, dead to rights on obstruction of justice. So I think it's a huge mistake for them to try and indict him. I don't know if they're going to do it. We'll
I
see.
don't think
they will.
I don't think Biden and the Biden administration, the Democrats, want to indict him.
Why not?
Because I think they want him to run because that's the only person they can beat.
Maybe.
My theory is the Republicans want him in prison. They want him in
The
jail.
Republican establishment wants it.
Exactly. The establishment, not the voters. The establishment.
Yes.
Because they're like, okay, if he's here, he's not going to fracture the Republican vote. DeSantis can go. DeSantis can probably beat Biden.
Right.
But I think Trump is so polarizing right now and so toxic that people will do an anti-Trump vote again. And I think that they can beat him. I think if DeSantis runs, they got to get rid of Biden, then run somebody else.
Maybe. I don't actually know. Because who's the only viable alternative? Kamala? She's
No.
way less popular.
Not even
than,
possible. It's
no,
gotta
but
be
the
someone
party
else.
will never ditch her. The party elites will never ditch Kamala.
I think
You
they've
can't-
already
how?
ditched her.
You can't ditch her.
You don't think?
No, dude. The power of identity politics. She's the first black vice president. Like, never. They'll never be able to do it.
Really?
Yes.
I think she's fucked up enough where they're like, yeah, this girl's an idiot.
Who's the
listen,
third
I would
option, you
hope so.
think?
Pete Buttigieg, but he's even worse.
Yeah.
Look at. Have you flown recently?
I thought that
how's
they
the East Palestine thing doing?
Bro, I
Like,
thought they did that shit to him on purpose. I thought it was like, yo, don't run.
No.
This is how conspiracy
I wish
theory I am. It's like there was
Yeah.
a few crashes in a row. And I was like, I think Pete was getting ideas. He's like, I think I might run for president.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, I think Ohio's gonna burn. Because it was it was every flight
Southwest
shut down.
all shut down for a
before
week.
That. 2021 was a nightmare for air travel. Then Southwest, Christmas, then East Palestine, and then, FAA. Don't forget that one. Total ground stop for the entire. That was actually crazy.
Yeah.
That was the first national air stop since 9/11. It just shut down. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my little conspiracy theory.
You don't think
I
Biden
just think
runs
he's an
again?
idiot.
Or you think if he does run again, you think he wins?
If he's alive, he's going to run again. Whether he wins, I don't know. I have no idea. It's one of those where.
Well,
like,
here's the weird thing.
Yeah.
I think that if you asked people if their happiness has gone up or down since Trump, I think both Republicans and Democrats, if they could be honest, not ask if you like Biden, if he's good, if he's doing a good job or anything, just your overall happiness, despite every possible calamity happening in the world, I think their happiness has gone up. There's global. Imagine if Trump was in office during this bank crash. Just imagine the shitstorm that would happen. Imagine when the transportation ship went down. Imagine, but because Biden never has an opinion on anything, there's nothing to push back against.
Right.
This goes back to what we were saying earlier about like the cultural apathy. I think what happens is if you have a president that's completely detached, it's very easy to be detached yourself.
Yes.
I don't need to know anything. He doesn't know anything, right? Whereas Trump organized what was the most important story every single week. He's like, we're going to talk about Transformers this week.
Right.
We're going to talk about this week. We're going to talk about that this week. Like, and the people that hated him rallied against it. The
That's
people that
good
loved
and
him
bad.
rallied for it.
The thing is, I can make a case either way. So
I'm not making the argument whether it's good or bad.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying is that like I think that there's this cultural malaise that we're existing.
Yes.
I think some people like it. I think there was an
for sure.
exhaustion.
Of course. That's why people voted for Biden.
And
No question.
That's why I think if Biden's alive, he could beat
Right.
Trump again. It's because it'll be another anti-Trump vote. I think if it's DeSantis, to his point about fracturing the party, if it's DeSantis, either way, the boat's not going to get that rocked, and this guy's more mentally coherent. There will be less anti-DeSantis vote.
Maybe.
Less.
My thing is, what I always look at is one of the issues is 2 years out, like who the fuck knows?
Yeah,
like seriously,
yeah,
the economy could crash. The Ukraine war could be over.
That's
the
true.
economy could be booming.
The Trump re-election-
Listen, here's a good case for Biden. If I was Biden, I would be doing everything I possibly could to bring Ukraine to an end. Inflation will go down. Gas prices will go down right before the election.
Yeah.
Just got a big win internationally. The economy's coming back. I passed the Inflation Reduction Act. These crazy Republicans didn't get what they wanted during abortion. No more Stop the Steal. That's a good case. I could make the other case, which is he's too beholden to the neocons, escalates the war in Ukraine. It's a fucking disaster. Gas is $5 a gallon. Okay, welcome back, President Trump.
To your point.
So it's like, both of these are very within the realm of possibility.
Trump had it.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody in February 2020 who's going to win the election,
Right.
wasn't even a question Trump was going to get
Of
reelected.
course.
March
By the way,
2020,
he only
COVID
lost
happens.
by 30,000 votes. We all forget that.
Yeah.
30,000 votes across 3 states.
Yeah.
He
Not
only
a
lost
lot.
Georgia by 10,000.
Yeah.
If the same people who voted by mail in the Republican primary vote in 2020, he wins Georgia. The same thing in Maricopa County, and also basically the same thing in either Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or Michigan.
Here's
So-
why I think, though, anti-votes are strong. The reason Dems won more states in the midterm Senate than people thought
Yes.
is anti-abortion. They're
Correct.
anti-abortion.
Absolutely correct.
The anti-abortion law passed. They overturned Roe versus Wade,
Yeah.
which for me is just crazy to overturn a Supreme Court ruling. I don't care what it is. But
Well, what about Dred Scott?
which one is that one?
The one where they declared that black men are not citizens of the United States.
Starting like
Yeah,
1910.
The one that overturned the Fugitive Slave Act and, the Kansas,
Starting
Nebraska.
Sometimes they get it right.
Started the Civil War. Like, what about Korematsu, which upheld the Japanese internment camps? I think it was like 1942. Yeah.
But
that one's still in the books, technically, actually.
But I think the anti-vote will still be strong if Trump wins. I
agree with you.
Because Democrats have proven the only way they vote is they hate the guy that's running.
Look, that's
or
not
they're
just
voting against something or someone.
in modern American history. The great landslides have almost always been negative, not positive. The only positive landslide in modern American history is 1964 election LBJ to fulfill John F. Kennedy's legacy.
Yeah.
So the Nixon landslide of 68 was a pushback against the chaos of the Vietnam War. The FDR landslide is let's get us the fuck out of the Great Depression. The 1980 landslide of Ronald Reagan and 84 is to save us from the nightmare of Jimmy Carter. Even Jimmy Carter's election, which was relatively narrow, was also let's just move on from Nixon. So it's almost always been powerful in modern American history to be the anti-vote, like the move on party. Part of the reason, again, why I think Biden was so successful. But Trump also, like I said, that Ukraine case I laid out, that's very possible. Like we could be in a full-blown conflict in Europe and Trump is like, I will get us out. I mean, that's literally what Eisenhower ran on against Truman. He said, I will go to Korea and I'm going to get us the fuck out of the Korean War.
Do you think Americans care enough about the Ukraine
Exactly.
issue?
They care when it touches them.
Yeah, if it escalates.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
It has to escalate to the point where it touches them. And by touch them, like I almost think more than gas prices.
Draft.
I'm not so sure. But
If I guess he's promising to get gas prices down. Listen, you can get gas prices down tomorrow.
Can you look up gas prices? Gasprices.AAA.com.
They've already come down a bit, but like you can have them come down more. You just release some reserves. And Americans don't go, our reserves are going.
We tapped the reserves, but you're right.
We didn't tap them, they're gone.
No, but we've tapped them pretty significantly. We have to top them up now, and we haven't been able to top up the SPR. Part of the there we go. So 340 again. That's actually still not good.
It's not bad.
Well, if you scroll down,
$3?
it has the national average from a year ago. So there you go. A year ago it was it's not bad because that's around Ukraine time. So 420.
So we're in like a decent place with gas prices, and you have to calculate inflation a little bit there too.
Right.
So I think inflation is fucking people up. I think I'm like waiting for all these layoffs to start to affect people.
What do you mean?
So every one of these Fortune companies is going, blah, blah, blah. Amazon is set to lay off 5,000 people.
Facebook.
JP Morgan is set
this
to lay
is
off
an interesting
10,000
thing
people.
we
Go.
can talk about. So that's actually because it's tech. So it's highly concentrated in white collar and specifically tech because tech was the biggest beneficiary of cheap money and of low interest rates. They were floating on a lot of debt and on borrowed cash to fuel their expansion. The overall joblessness rate, the unemployment rate, part of the reason that the Federal Reserve continues to increase rates is because those layoffs are not affecting the overall economy. So, for example, 10,000 jobs at Amazon, that's or like 1,200 jobs or whatever at Dropbox. You know what? That's like a factory in Toledo, right? Like if it closes it has no impact on the U.S. economy.
So we're over-indexing.
We're over-indexing for the media. The media is focusing on tech. Actual like blue-collar jobs are actually doing pretty well.
So jobs overall are doing well.
Yes.
And what we're having is like a regression to the mean from the tech sector that just absolutely exploded during COVID, which of course it's going to explode.
Of course.
You have cheap money and you have everybody at home needing tech.
Yeah.
This makes sense. So we can't look at jobs as this is a doomsday scenario that's
we gotta
about
go sector
to happen.
by sector.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
not all layoffs are the same, I guess.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's part of the issue, which is that a lot of people in tech, this was kind of annoying about the bank thing. They're like, everything's going to collapse. The economy's going to collapse if we don't get bailed out. I was like, yeah, but like you actually are, yes, you're 20% of GDP, but startups and all of that are way less part of that in terms of tech. And actually, if you did fail, or first of all, if the bank did fail, 90% of your deposits all would have been made whole in the first place. So
Depending on the bank. I think some of those banks had much higher.
I'm talking about Silicon Valley Bank.
Signature and SVB.
Signature Bank, okay, so SVB specifically, we do know that if the normal FDIC process had gone through, over 90% of deposits would have been made whole.
Yeah.
At the end of the
90%
day.
of depositors, not deposits.
No, deposits, not depositors. Deposits would have been made whole.
Because the FDIC backs up to $250,000.
No, because what they did instead is they came out and they were like, actually, all deposits are insured.
No, I'm saying prior to this.
Oh, yes, prior to that. That's right. And
so that 90% statistic is based on
the
government bailout.
No,
based on the government bailout.
No. What the normal FDI process process is the FDIC is they come in, they shut down the bank, and they sell off the assets of the bank, and then use that. It's kind of like what happened with Madoff. Remember, like everything that they can the clawback rule.
Sure.
So that effectively how it would have been done. It would have taken a couple of months and all that to go about, but they would have gotten their money. 90% of them would have gotten their money based on the.
But the government stepped in. And
but the government stepped in and was like, no, immediately every single one of your deposits is cash flush. And by the way, all of these banks now get access to a special Federal Reserve Fund, and we're going to completely unilaterally change all of U.S. banking law.
Well, this is important.
Which is crazy.
But this is important, right? Because there isn't a bank right now that exists in the world that you can remove all of your assets from at the same time as everybody else who's in the bank.
Very true.
Right? And I think it's at a 10-to-1 ratio. So basically, like, if you deposit $100,000 in that bank, they only have to keep $10,000 of it in there. What they basically do is go lend out the other $90,000.
Bingo.
So fractional reserve banking, right? So what's the problem with a run on the bank is that we all naturally get scared. Like, we were texting each other and we're like, yo, is this bank going to be okay? Is City National going to be okay? Is whatever. Once we start taking our money out and moving it, because the last thing you want is deposit risk. There's so much risk in money in general. The last thing you want
is like your actual cash.
The cash, like, let me risk it on a stock. Let me risk it on an investment, not just sitting in the fucking bank.
Earning 0.08 interest.
So I think what they had to do is step in and just so that we would have confidence. If we took all of our money out and we just dumped it into JP Morgan and Chase, which are the two that I guess were doing okay.
Yes, that's right.
But if every regional bank would just collapse.
So first of all,
you have to acknowledge.
I completely acknowledge it, and I actually
and you have to
agree.
say, even though you're conservative, the government did a good job.
Actually, I don't agree with that, because I think the government, what it did is actually, this is a leftist point, but I agree with it, which is that, think about this. What you just made the case is how banks make money, because they lend out that money.
Yeah.
Okay, but inherent to that was you are privatizing the profits, but when shit goes bad and there is a bank run, what did we just do? Actually, all of that money is safe. Yeah. So we guaranteed all the deposits, which you get to make private profits on. So Jamie Dimon is literally a billionaire, and all of these guys are become billionaires by loaning out our money while paying. What's our interest rate in banks? 0.05%? Maybe something like that.
No risk to them.
And no risk to them. Literally no risk to them.
What you're saying is 100% true.
Yes.
And it is 100% hypocritical, and it absolutely sucks. And what I think we should do is put all the executives that made those decisions in jail. But I think you have to punish them. But the concern is, if this bank fails and the next bank fails, none of our deposits are secured, because eventually you will have a global economic collapse. So unfortunately, the government has to step in and do this incredibly hypocritical thing and to protect everybody's money, because it is possible that would. So my one thing is, someone needs to get punished here.
Yes.
And I think it's the executives at the bank.
But it's not only the executives at the bank.
And unfortunately, they're getting fucking paid out.
But now we have not only that, every bank in the country effectively is now deposit insured. So why do any of them get to make profits? That's bullshit. You don't get to use my money.
It's a great business.
You do not get to use my money to make profit for yourself. And when you fuck up and fail, everything is guaranteed by the government.
And now they can be more reckless now.
No, of course.
No, oh, we good.
You
20 to 1.
You guys are 100% right, and it sucks.
But we're not banning it. There's no ban.
But the alternative is letting them fail.
And that's not true. The alternative is holding them accountable.
Well, how do you hold them accountable?
Well, okay, but here's the other thing.
Bring them to a grand jury.
No, this is a good question. How would you hold them accountable? Like,
bring them to a grand jury.
Oh, so like you're saying what I'm saying is put them in jail.
I think so. You got to put those guys in jail.
Oh, but the accountability that we're talking about doesn't stop the practice that secured the bank.
But you can make the bank whole, but still hold the people accountable.
And then ideally,
but we didn't do that.
Exactly.
I'm with you 100% on that. I'm with you 100%. And I think what will happen after that is that these bankers will realize that there are repercussions for their very dangerous actions.
That's the
and then
deterrent.
hopefully other banks will be like, okay, we need a little bit more deposits. Let's not buy these fucking long-term treasuries and act like they're cash, because they are.
But that was the case of 2008. The 2008 case was that, and then it just didn't happen. Like, the idea was that we were going to bail them out. They wouldn't do it again. Yeah, exactly. But the case was like, no, they're going to learn their lesson. They crashed. Like,
they will never learn their lesson.
They're never going to do it again.
The lesson they learned is we don't get in any trouble.
Yeah.
They're making more money.
Yeah.
So I guess it's up to us to hold them accountable. I mean, like, real talk, if Trump came out right now and he was like, every exec at those banks that got paid out that isn't in jail. When I'm president, they're going to be in fucking prison.
Yes.
The only issue, though, is I don't think people care that much about SVB.
No, they don't. But you know what they do care about? They care about somebody fucking over the regular man and then getting millions in the process.
SVB wasn't the regular man.
It doesn't matter, dude.
Yeah, I'd like,
It's
you can spin it optically, I guess,
He's
but
gonna
like,
spin it all,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's just like it's just like with the drag queens teaching fucking your kids English or whatever like that. It's just like all Trump has to be like, no more drag queens teaching English. And then people go, oh, I love him. Oh, my kids only learn English from drag queens.
They've been saying Yas Queen all day. Like, can we stop this?
Also, guys, catch me in Denver, 420 through 422. And since I'm there 420, that means I'm going to get high on stage. Never done it before. We'll never do it again. So get your tickets for that show, as well as May 3rd, Providence, Rhode Island, the Comedy Connection. They say East Providence like we give a shit. It's the same place, bruh. It's the smallest state in a bum-ass city. Nobody cares. Bum-ass city's tour kicking off. Get your tickets, akashsingh.com.
Oh, I had an interesting theory. Let's get you in trouble. Well, not in trouble. Okay. And I'm sure that this is like the common thing right here, why people are upset about. What if, I'm sure this is very common, but what if trans women are just, okay, here it is. So trans women want to change the definition of woman to include them,
Yes.
right? Now, they also want to
They
be,
wouldn't say change. They would just say include.
or whatever,
all-
but you
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying, more or
yes,
less,
that's
right?
right. Expand the definition.
Expand the
Yeah.
definition, right?
All right.
But now here's the thing.
locking
They recognize that they're in the wrong body. They believe they're in the wrong body.
They believe that.
Okay? Now, regardless if we do or not, let's just assume for a second they are in the wrong body.
We'll take them
and
at their
there
word.
are anomalies that happen all the time, right? There's 7 billion people. We got the wood person in fucking Thailand, right? There's a guy who's Groot in Thailand. We got people with multiple hands in
Yes,
India all the time.
yes.
There are these random anomalies that happen. Tons of fingers, etc. Right? Not a single pianist. Waste. So you have this person who goes, I'm born in the wrong body. We go, I believe you. When we had Daisy on the podcast, I was like, I 100% believe that happened to you. I believe you feel 100% like a woman. And because of that, you're a trans woman. You are exactly what you're saying. You feel like a woman inside, and you're in the wrong body, and that makes you a trans woman, right? But that doesn't make you a woman, right? We don't have to change the definition of woman to meet this, which we understand is an anomaly, but we can also go, hey, I understand that you feel like that, and that you're not lying, you're not manipulating anybody. This is a real thing you're going
not crazy.
through. You're not crazy.
There's
It's
a
like-
lot of feminists who agree with you, actually.
but I don't think, and then I think that like, it's almost like I've thought about someone who has like the phantom leg syndrome. Have you heard about that?
No, what is it?
So some people who have,
Oh, like when they get amputations and they think they
but
still
they
have
still
a leg?
feel like
Yeah.
they have a leg. Now, what if they were like, I have a leg? And then we'd be like, no,
Right.
you don't have a leg, but you do feel like it. And the part of your brain, when I like touch the air right here, goes off where your leg would be.
Right.
So clearly you feel, I'm not saying you're lying about your feelings. I 100% believe you feel your leg is right there. I'm not calling you a liar. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't have a leg.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
I mean, I don't,
bathrooms is
I don't
the
really
issue?
disagree with you. I think, though, that this, look.
Is
and
that
this
insulting? Would they find that insulting?
Some people
so,
would find
yeah.
it insulting.
Even
Some
though we're
people would.
saying you're not lying, you do feel like that.
Dude, but that what
but
it
you're,
gets
like,
to is like you're
qualifying it.
qualifying that they're
But
not women.
so far we
100%.
define a woman and a man as a person who feels like a man and also has all the biological
Yes.
characteristics.
Look, part of the problem with trying to explain this is it doesn't make any sense. And like this is where, and like, I know the consternation.
Hey,
and
dude, chill out.
Where it all
Hold on
comes
one
from.
second. Chill out.
I would just say, like with the trans thing, I have never seen. I don't know why it animates so many people to feel so strongly. Like people, I have met people whose entire politics is oriented around this, and I just find that to be so incredible.
it's bogus,
By the way,
yeah.
comedy too. Have you guys noticed this? Like every comedian now has a trans joke.
I know.
And some of them are good, but some of them I'm just like, yo, dude, like this is not even
Bro,
good.
I was
Like,
doing it 5 years ago.
Yeah, but at least it was probably edgy then.
Dude, it's so fucking and credit.
It's just like every fucking joke, man. Like every open mic joke now. I feel like every newer comedian I listen to is a fucking trans joke.
It's because you can say anything now. You can say everything.
But it's not funny. It's just like not funny when it's not edgy. Okay, so let's put that aside. So I think that most of the consternation around it comes down to what you're pointing to, which is gender ideology. Now that also does not really have a definition, and that's part of the problem because it's expansive. Gender ideology, I would say,
gender is what you feel like you are.
Yes. However, what gender ideology more so is pointing to what you're saying. The expanding of the definitions around the sexes, conflating sex with gender, conflating feelings with totality, kind of a totalitarian view of enforcing that. And the only part where I actually care about this is kids. That's it. So I absolutely think like once you're 18 years old, do whatever you want. As you said, I know people who are trans and like, I'm like, look, I believe you, do whatever you want. I think that's fine. This is a free country, so be it. Many people actually don't agree with that. And I think part of the problem with the right-wing debate is that when you press some of these people is that they will openly be like, no, I don't think you should be able to transition whenever you're 18. It's like, look, that level of freedom is just, you may not like it, but like, that's what it is. And so we should also be honest about how some people feel that way.
Yeah.
Now, we should also, though, be honest about how some people feel like it's okay to be able to talk about some of this stuff. Not even talk about some of this stuff, but actively kind of propagate it for people who are 5 years old, people who are 6 years old. And this is often conflated kind of with critical race theory. And again, critical race theory is one of those where the technical definition of critical race theory is graduate level coursework around the question. So that's why some people will be like, critical race theory is not being taught in schools. I'm like, yeah, but are you talking to kids about skin color and shades and about like white guilt when they're 5? Because I think that's a problem. But then they're like, wait, you think we shouldn't talk about the Civil War? And so I'm like, I didn't say that. That's not what I said actually.
To a 5-year-old? No, I don't think you should talk about this.
Well, maybe. I mean, you could talk.
What are you going to talk to a 5-year-old about the Civil War? What are you going to do?
I mean, you could talk about costumes. You could say like, oh, there was good and bad. Like we freed the slaves and slavery was bad. I mean, look, to a certain level, like there are social myths.
Doesn't need to know about that stuff.
So what I'm saying is there are social myths that are built in the bedrock of every civilization. Sure. What gender ideology seeks.
A 5-year-old should be learning English from a big old fucking transvestite. That's the only thing that should be happening, okay?
I don't think you're supposed to say transvestite anymore.
No, transvestite is fine.
No, I think that's out.
They got rid of
that.
That
was out.
They got rid of it. I don't know if that was ever scientific.
That implies that it's sexual. That's what they imply that it's sexual. So
no, the tight part is.
Can you look it up? Actually, I'm curious.
We're also talking about drag queens though.
Yeah, we're talking about drag queens as transvestite.
No, but I believe that transvestite is a term that is like a sexual kink. It's like they do that.
Transvestite was just a cross-dresser.
Yeah, a cross-dresser.
No, but cross-dressing implies, again, a kink. It's like for a sexual purpose. No, in the traditional... All right, so what we got? So
the word's undergone very many things. The term transvestite is commonly considered outdated.
Derogatory. Yes, cross-dresser is more appropriate.
So now what is it?
Yeah.
Now is it drag?
Well, no, because drag also is not. Well, this is what they say.
This is the same thing.
This is the controversy.
This is the retard
Is drag
thing.
sexual? Is drag sexual, or is it dressing up in women's clothes?
This is just
conservatives, people who are upset about it, say that drag is inherently a sexualized act. When you have a drag queen show in front of little children, you're pushing like a sexualization on top of gender ideology in front of little kids. Now, people will say, well, hey, what's wrong with men who are wearing a dress who are like reading a book to their kid? Honestly, I think it's one of those, like, when you see it, like if there's a guy who is in drag but is appropriately clothed and reading a children's book, that's just like fundamentally different than a guy who doesn't have underwear on and it's like has his dick out in front of kids, right?
Well, I don't understand,
like that's weird.
Why? So, I don't understand why this is happening. Like, what's the point of it?
I don't really know. I mean, I don't know where it all comes from. Some of it is online, but frankly, like the roots of it have been in our culture for a long time. I mean, some of it comes from, I guess, a good place of like, hey, we want to be able to accept and...
Accept what?
We want people to be able to feel however they feel without discrimination. Like inherently, it sounds good. Now, but at the same time, like to feel that way, we have to police the way that everybody uses language, and we also have to say that anybody who questions it, and specifically when questions it around children, is itself like homophobic, when homophobia actually doesn't have to do with any of it.
Right.
That's actually part of what drives me crazy. Whenever people say that it's like an attack on gay rights or something like that, I'm like, well, hold on. Well, we're not talking about gay rights at all. We're actually like, that has nothing to do with gay marriage.
Yeah.
Now, are there some people who are anti-gay marriage who are also obsessed with this? Yes, that's what I actually opened this conversation with. And that's part of the issue, which is drinking it down to like nuance and like where people are is the most difficult part. I know so many people who are Christian theocrats who are obsessed with this, and this is all that they talk about, where many people who are like atheists would agree with them in the critiques of gender ideology. Yeah. But they're like, wait, hold on a second, what do you believe about abortion? No, I'm not in on that at all.
Yeah.
But then I also know a lot of people, again, left-wingers who would be like, listen, I'm totally cool, like trans rights, all this stuff. But then you're like, I don't know, with children, like maybe it's up to the parents. Like if parents want to talk to their kids about it. That's the other way I feel about the drag queen show.
Why aren't the teachers teaching them how to read?
Well,
why do we need to hire
They're doing it as like a
drag
story
queens?
hour, I think.
Well, okay.
Hey,
You're thinking about drag queen
teacher.
story hour.
Yeah.
I'm also talking about teachers. There are a lot of teachers, right? This is the whole libs of TikTok thing, where teachers will openly be like, they'll be like, look, these are the pronouns that we're going to use in college. Or you know, you have high school teachers who will say, it's okay if you want to come out to me as trans and I'll keep it from your parents. And there's like school nurses. And
That's fire.
There's all this. Well, I don't know
If
about
you're
that.
trans.
Right. Well, okay, but what
If
if
you're not, that's a
but
fucking
why-
identity
But
crisis.
if you are under 18, like, shouldn't your parents ultimately have
No,
some
but not
responsibility?
necessarily.
Why not?
Because if,
hard to tell
again,
them.
coming out of the closet for...
What's the law?
I know
The
we have
law
to,
is your
I'm
parental
going back to
guardian.
something that you...
Yeah.
The law says you can't go under gender reassignment surgery without parents. That's fine.
Well,
but just coming
they're
out
trying
as
to
this is
change
how
that
I
law,
feel...
but they're trying to change that law.
But until then, we're
But
gonna-
yeah, just coming out as this is how I feel, like coming for a gay person, I don't have to tell my parents if I'm gay. My parents still don't know I'm gay. I don't have to come out until I'm comfortable doing it to anyone.
Right.
Same should be the case for trans.
So
I actually
you're talking
believe
about a
that's
personal level, but we're talking about what is inherently a federally funded, state taxpayer funded institution. So on a private school, that's very
I
different.
think there's a lot of parents that would really
Yeah.
appreciate if their kid didn't tell them they were gay and told the teacher instead.
Maybe, but that's kind of up to them. And my point is, though, is that, and this is part of what drives me crazy too, these are public fights because these are taxpayer-funded schools. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we do get a say. Like and as
I just
much
don't
as we
understand,
should,
like if the
people are like
taxpayers
leave it
are
up to the
paying
parents,
for,
but it's like
No,
we're
but the
paying
ta-
your salary.
No.
Like, yeah.
The taxpayers are paying teachers to read to kids.
Yes.
Why are we hiring more people? That's the biggest issue for me. It's not even the drag queens.
Well,
it's
the
like,
drag queen
back
thing is
to
more
work,
like
teach.
library. I think a lot of them. I don't think a lot of them are school connected. Some of them are school connected, but a lot of them are like at public libraries.
it'll be at a
or
library.
they'll be like
And
at
they're
a
like-
private social club
Yeah.
or something like that.
There was
And
like
also-
43 elementary schools that they did it in. And
I didn't know.
That's
the
not
thing
that
was
many.
peculiar.
But also parents are going to feel like, hey, I don't want them pushing the gay agenda. So I don't
Right.
want teachers talking to my kid about none of that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, which teachers are just like, you confiding in me, and which teachers are like, yo, you should see this gay shit.
pushing
You
it
might
on.
like
Yes.
this.
But see, I think that's important as a point. Because I'll give you guys the flip side. So I had a science teacher in 5th grade who was telling us about evolution. And then this kid raised her hand and was like, so do you believe in evolution? And she was like, no, but the state requires me to teach that. And I remember being like, you're the science. I was like, why should I listen to you about anything then if you don't believe in evolution? Actually, Rogan is a person I heard make this point, which is that imagine if you were a liberal parent and you had a teacher who was conservative, which I had many conservative evangelical teachers, and they were pushing their Christian beliefs on your kids at school. You would be fucking furious. And I felt very uncomfortable, whatever that happened to me, because I grew up in the 1990s in Texas.
Can I be
Well,
honest with you?
The flip side of it, though, is that you would also be furious if somebody is teaching your kids something that you don't believe.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be furious.
Why not?
If people were pushing Christian beliefs on my kids.
How so?
Because I think Christian beliefs have carved out our culture, our rules, our
Some of it.
interactions.
Sure.
I would be 100%
There's
okay
a
with
level.
it.
But right. So
Some of
you're
it-
talking about like Judeo-Christian values
Yeah.
that we have inherited from Puritanism that we've enshrined in law.
If
I
it's-
think
there's a
Akash and I
difference
are talking
between
about evolution is not real.
I had
there's just-
creationism
I had,
is like
I had an organic chemistry professor at a
Yes.
private college that
Yes.
thought the Earth was
There you
4,000
go.
years
Exactly.
old.
Exactly. And you're like, well, how can I listen to you? I can't listen to you about
Son,
anything.
I'm paying you.
Yeah.
It was like
Yes.
$25,000 a year
Yes.
for this bum ass school.
Right.
People love to like pick that out with like Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay, they got one thing wrong. It's like how many
one.
things they got right? Like,
Right.
like I'll be honest with you, bro.
No, we're not saying that.
No, I'm not saying you guys
Yeah.
do it, but like atheists love to like do this thing with
Right.
the Bible. Where they're like, well, here's something that's hypocritical. It's like, oh, what? Did you find something wrong in a
didn't say it was
5,000-year-old
all
test?
bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You found, oh my, Bill Maher, what a fucking genius. A 5,000-year-old text, you found a mistake? Something that's been refuted?
But there's people that say
Whoa!
the Christians say there's no mistakes.
Yeah, there's no mistakes. The Bible is literally true.
Good. Settle down on that shit. I'm a Knick fan. I've been there. You know what I mean? You wrong until you right. That's what it's like being a Knick fan. You are wrong until you right. And if we all go to heaven, it's like, all right, that shit was 4,000 years old.
Yeah, but you stopped going to games because they doubled down too much.
No, you're right.
You got tired of doubling down.
I'm agnostic about my Knicks. But a nice deep playoff run, I'm gonna be in there. Like, all right, you got this. I was at I went to church this Sunday, right?
So how was that?
It was phenomenal.
Well, what type of church?
Yeah, what
That's an
type?
important question.
I don't know. It was in a public
He
school.
was capping for Scientology last week. He's a
I had
Scientologist.
in science.
Catholic, Episcopal,
I think it was
Protestant.
non-denominational.
Oh, those are good.
So it's like the lib one.
yeah,
All right.
Those
I don't know
those
what it
cool.
was.
Right.
The pastor said lit. Like
Yeah.
he came through in a
BLM
hoodie.
flag, gay pride flag.
It's a Christian TED Talk with a rock concert.
Bro,
Hell yeah.
but
It is a Christian TED Talk.
you see how y'all do, bro? This is why
saying,
there's
bro.
15 types of
Just all I'm
Christianity.
saying,
bro. Christians are like comics. Like they're just gonna find a way why you ain't
You're
shit.
doing
They
old
just-
Christianity, bro.
Yeah,
You're like-
you're doing
exactly.
impressions.
Yeah,
Is that all you got? Is
like,
impressions?
you're a prop Christian.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like that's all you do. Okay, so and I'm in there, and it was my wife really wanted to go. Her brother goes, and I'm like, all right, this is gonna be cool, and it was beautiful, man. Like the feeling that I got. First of all, I'm crying within 3 minutes. I walk in, and it starts with the music.
Yeah.
I am bawling, crying within 3 minutes, okay? It's in a public school auditorium, and it's not at like some fancy fucking, Joel Osteen church. It's in a public school auditorium, like the real shit. You know what I mean? Like Jesus
real,
started
bro.
it. You know what I mean?
Go Jaguars.
Jesus wasn't going to be in some fancy ass synagogue, you know what I mean? He was in the streets with his people, you know what I mean?
Playing ball, hooping.
Hooping. So bro, they're singing the most beautiful. I love Christian music, bro. Like honestly, I'm mad at Pastor Carl.
You should be.
Because I was up in that Hillsong crying too. If you play any Christian music for me right now,
He used to
I cry on the
cry
spot
on
right
Play
now.
it.
I cry on the spot right now if we play any Christian
Jesus
music, bro.
King.
Yeah.
You know what we should do is play it and see if they like catch us for
Yeah.
monetization.
Mark,
Because
track 2.
Dude,
When Jesus
it was
washed
like
my
every
sins
youth
away.
minister's
With
dream.
Lauryn Hill?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like,
it
yeah,
was-
we
it
play
was-
great music. It's
Hold
not
on
really
a
about
second.
Jesus. We're just hanging
Hold
out.
on, hold on 1 second.
Oceans will get you.
Oceans
bro.
is the flamethrower.
I will call upon your
But
name.
don't ruin it, bro.
Where are you? There's a place off Oceans.
Where we go on Sundays to hate Jews. Bro, they was talking that shit about Jews. No, not really. But no, it was so beautiful. The music, it was like filling me up, and I felt so amazing. It was these incredible feelings. And you said something, I think it was on a pod maybe last week, but like you could tell how successful a religion is by the fruit it bears. And I'm in this church, and I'm just feeling so incredible. Just listen to the music. I'm 3 minutes in, and I'm like, oh, there's a reason this shit took over the world, bro. Like, Christianity is incredible. I need to try Islam, because if Christianity is this good, Islam's gonna be the new.
The 2.0.
The new,
The
bro.
2.0, yeah. Oh, Sufis, dude. Come on.
Schulz
Sufis
would be
got
a
some
great
beautiful
Sufi.
music.
What's a
That's
Sufi?
They're like mystical Islamists. They like believe in music. They're chill with
Beautiful music,
gays,
dog.
but very beautiful music, good architecture.
Yo,
but
he
still
called you
Muslim.
gay still.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Listen, I'm a religious gay.
Very tolerant,
Yeah.
but still, they're very big in India. Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is it was so beautiful. And I'm in this room, there was love, and it was all these different people coming together, and they were submitting themselves to a higher power. It's a beautiful thing to see with humans. I think in this individualized society that we live in, you see so much selfishness, and for these people to sit in this room and then just fucking give it up for something they don't even know is there. I was like, it made me fucking emotional. It was beautiful. And that's why when you were like, do I want these Christian values on my kids? Like, I could talk to my kid about evolution. You know what I can't do is like, when I'm not with him for 8 hours a day, is fill him up with that love and that joy that makes him be a better person to the people around him. He's not being a better person because you're telling him to be good. He's being a better person because he feels fucking God loves him. And when God fills you up, you got a little extra to give around. And it was just beautiful, man.
I'm glad that you said that, actually, because I don't want people to construe me as saying like religion is bad. I'm like, just because I may
didn't
not
take it
believe.
that
No,
way.
no, I understand. But
Also,
I think,
our teachers never taught us that stuff.
yes, that's right. More so, they were like, "Hey, Akash, that's a funny name." Ha ha ha. And you're like, "Yeah, that's really
Yeah, if
funny."
you have sex, you go
thank
to hell.
Yeah, you're like, "Wow, that's terrible." Yeah. So
They use
you're right,
religion as
which is
a
that religion is a
conduit to funnel their
fantastic
politics through.
bingo.
See, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm more of a Sufi.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Sufi.
you guys got to do a Sufi show. That actually is really
That'd be
fun.
sick.
Did you tithe?
Bro,
Because they
I don't
passed the
even
basket
wanna
around.
say it
They passed the
because
basket around, right?
I gave them everything in my pocket, and I had done shows all week. I probably dropped
No, you did not, bro.
out of my life, bro. And I almost feel uncomfortable saying it now because it seems like I'm bragging. We can cut the whole thing out, but because I'm going through the shit with.
Don't pay him back for that flight.
Yo, they got your ass, bro. They pimped you. They fucking got you, bro. They saw you roll in. They're like, play Oceans. Run the hits.
Listen,
Run the hits.
You know my heart,
Astros
God.
a brand new Omega.
God, you know
Bro,
who's
you
good
got
in this
punked,
room.
bro.
You know who's not good.
Yo,
They don't have any
you
confidence
got
in the
punked,
institutions,
bro.
bro.
You got
They don't
punked.
have any confidence.
Mark switch. Mark the most Christian guy all of a sudden. Like, I can't believe you gave that much.
You got punked, bro.
Ruined you, bro. How you gonna let New York take God?
You
from
didn't even
bro?
give it to the real
I
God.
apologize for my brother.
You gave it to a
Fill
TED
him
Talk.
with love.
You gave it to
Fill
a
him
TED
with
Talk, bro.
kindness. Fill him with Islam.
Don't film it.
Come on, you need that new, Mark. You need that new.
How much you got to tithe in Islam? Is it a better rate?
son?
If it's at 5%, I might go over there. I don't know.
I don't know what they.
Islam does not allow interest. Islamic banks are not allowed to charge interest.
I know.
They
so
just
they buy up all the
conveniently
real estate
charge
in
you.
London.
They just conveniently charge you a fee, which is commensurate with about 8%.
Are you
interest.
kidding me?
No, I swear to God.
Oh my God! You don't think God
when
knows
my parents
about
and I
that?
lived in Qatar, they were like, "Yeah, there's no interest, but you'll have to pay this fee, and if you do the math, it's about 8% interest." And you're like, "Wait, what?" That's how you get a car loan.
Hold on one second.
That's how you get mortgages out there.
Are you fucking
swear to God.
kidding me?
I swear.
And does that thing change depending on the market?
Of course. What, you think it isn't commiserate with the global rate of interest?
Well, that's
Like,
interest.
Yeah.
So how the fuck do they get around
That's
it?
a fee. That's a fee.
That's a fee,
dude.
It's a
It's
fee,
like when
man.
You're acting
no,
like a real
like,
fucking harami right now,
What's
bro.
is it Shabbat? Whenever they're not like Orthodox Jews are not allowed to use electricity.
Yeah.
So they
Acting
turn
like you don't
on
know
the
that
lights
shit, bro.
before Saturday.
Yes.
So they don't have to turn off the lights.
Yes.
So they'll turn the stove on or
Yes.
something like that. So they don't technically have to, but it's clearly cheating.
It's cheating.
When I was-
I'll even admit
when I
there's
was
a
in
lot
Israel,
of cheating.
I was like,
come on, guys.
come on. Yeah, I was like, we're either not using electricity or we're not like we're
Have
going
you
to
heard
use
about
fucking
what they do
electricity.
in the Hasidic communities in Brooklyn? This
What?
is great. They make the elevator stop at every floor.
The Shabbat
Oh,
elevator.
smart. Okay, yeah.
Oh, now you like it. Listen, just because Christians are too
Yeah.
dumb to get around there,
That's really what it is. That's honestly what it is. Jews have a
more
whole,
than most people.
Jews
for
have a whole
anything.
book to just outsmarting
Yes.
God. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. The
Yes.
Talmud.
The
New York
Talmud.
have this shit figured
Nah,
out, man.
nah,
They,
Christians
like,
did
own
it
a
the
lot of
best.
real estate.
Yeah.
They're like,
Christians said we're gonna separate. Let's start America and let's separate church and state. It shit is just Christian.
Yeah.
But we separate it.
Yes.
So no Christian rules have to apply here.
I mean, King,
What is
King,
Christian
King
rules?
Henry really was the first one
Son,
that did
gay
that.
people couldn't get married till the 21st century.
Yeah.
How fucking crazy is
And
that?
we were actually pretty early in terms of the
I was
world.
gonna say. Well, actually, what's the first country that legalized
Yo,
gay marriage? I'd
hey,
be curious.
they bring up
Yeah.
that shit too. It's like whatever, bro.
What do you mean?
We gonna what is it? Throw the baby out with the bathwater? It's like they got evolution wrong and then gay shit wrong. You know what I mean? Like everything else stands.
Well, listen, look,
What else is wrong?
I have a lot of Christian friends who would make the case that you're making. You're like, listen, at the end of the day, Judeo-Christian values are what built like the West, and it's what ultimately allowed America to prosper. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's all bad. This is like the whole convo today. We were talking about women out earning men. Like, it's not a bad thing. There's a trade-off though. Let's acknowledge the trade-off.
That's
Like,
a bad thing for
it's
them.
all about trade-off.
It's not a bad thing for us. It's a bad thing for them.
What do you mean?
Because they like it when guys make more
Oh,
money.
yeah, yeah,
So now
exactly.
there's
Yeah,
just
you're
less
right.
people to fuck them.
Yeah.
So if they were smart, they would earn nothing. And then every guy has gold.
Well, no sex before marriage. That's a good Christian value.
I think that's fine, dude.
But you didn't do that.
Wow, we were number.
I'm not a Christian, bro. I'm not a Christian.
So we were technically number 2.
Well,
Number 3
National
after
ruling-
Belgium.
Yeah, national ruling though. Look
That's
at
Wait,
no.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. No sex before marriage.
There we go.
That's a great rule for the time, bro.
For 2023.
I think we have to divide the rules between like technological rules and like emotional.
See, this is how the
spiritual
Talmud.
rules.
See, this is what happens when you get Jews involved in religion, bro. No. Keep it pure,
tech
dog.
rules.
Keep it pure,
I don't
dude.
want to. I don't want to like
Elevator
I
on
don't
every
wanna-
floor, bro.
No, I don't want to give away. I don't want to give away like a joke or whatever. But like, I do think the gay thing was more about just how dirty dudes' buttholes were back in the day. Like, and I feel like
It was the shellfish of ass.
I think. Well, here's the thing. This is specifically why. Ready? 5,000 years ago, right? There's no toilet paper. There's no way to really clean ass, right? And women at the time are not shaving their legs. They're not shaving their armpits. They're in the Middle East. They're fucking full of hair, right? Okay. The difference between a man and woman is very minimal.
Oh my God.
Right? So you could butt fuck a dude's shithole, or you could have sex with a beautiful warm vagina, and God is like, yo, you're almost the same. Like, I made you almost the same, right? So why don't you just do that and not go to hell? I'm just saying, being gay back in the day, you had to have like specific tastes for
High
men.
stakes.
Well, do you guys know like the
was more
evolutionary
emotional.
theories around being gay?
What
I've
is
always
it?
found those interesting. They're like the gay uncle theory, where it's like if you had a male who was capable of protecting the tribe, who was gay, he wasn't competing with the alpha male for resources.
Yeah.
So that's why because one of the Christian or scientific like Darwinist arguments about homosexuality is they're like, why would it be passed on through the gene pool? Like, why would there be an evolutionary advantage to being gay? So
Someone got to write them
uncle
songs,
theory.
bro.
Yeah.
Them songs ain't written by straights. That music's too beautiful, bro. Put that fucking 1,000 miles
What's the
or
Sam
whatever
Smith
song.
song?
Yeah.
Unholy. It's a fucking great song.
Yeah, Unholy. That's
Unholy's
another
a great
banger.
song.
Yeah, exactly.
Go, keep on going with the gay theory.
Okay, so no, I've only got gay uncle theory. I don't know what the other ones are. I think there was one. Yeah, again, it was like the idea that they could help protect the tribe, they could help care for the children, help care for offspring, while not competing for resources, like in terms of female resources with the alpha male. So it's somebody who had like.
Have you heard this theory about how this is a theory of human evolution, that what allowed us to have so much success was ridding the tribe of the alpha male?
What do you mean?
So what allowed humans to basically like demolish all of our competition is that we weren't led by one specific alpha male. It was actually all the betas collectively coming together and murdering the alpha male. And this is essentially what democracy is, right? It's like all the people basically removing the person of power every 4 years. And you see like different versions of this propagate society. And the reason why that was better is because if you had the collective group of betas in charge, there was more safety for you. You didn't have to worry about this alpha rolling around and fucking biting off your nutsack every 2 seconds like lions got to worry about or bears got to worry about. Like, you could actually sit around and you could collaborate and invent technology and find ways to live an easier life, et cetera. So the history of humanity is the history of cucks.
I'm not sure though that that's right.
Beta,
because I'm
dude.
pretty sure what happened is
history of
that the whole
cucks, dude.
idea is that the alpha male is a transitory position, and so the beta male then becomes the alpha male, but then he's removed. So actually, if you look at, you know how when African countries allow people to like shoot a rhino, almost always the reason why is because it'll be a rhino which is sterile, but which is killing younger bulls
Yes.
who are trying to compete for female resources.
Think you're making
but they're
my
not
point.
able to kill the older bull, so they allow somebody to come in, shoot it, and that frees up evolutionary competition.
Yes.
But the problem though is that the cuck then becomes the alpha male.
And
so
then
it becomes a
when
reversal.
he gets too wild,
when he becomes,
they remove that
and
ass.
then they remove him, and they get
Exactly.
somebody else.
So the cucks
Right.
have been in charge this whole time.
Maybe. I mean, you could make
That's
the
what
argument.
that's what
Yeah.
some people
Some
say.
people say.
Some people say.
On the internet.
There is this is like actual smart people.
Yeah.
The other theory that was interesting is the guy who developed this theory of like the alpha wolf. Have you heard of it? This is where the whole idea of alpha, the pack leader,
Okay.
is
That
where
was
it comes from.
debunked, right?
He debunked it and spent the rest of his life debunking. He's like, yo, I was wrong. Actually, they've like hunt collaboratively. There's not really one person in
Yeah,
charge. It's all bullshit.
that's right.
And then for years, for even now, people are like, you have to be the alpha wolf. Yeah. Exactly. It's like, what do you mean the cuck watching his wife get fucked by his friend? Like, it's sometimes an easy thing to run with.
Turns
you
out
know?
wolves are very communitarian. Like
Share
the,
everything.
the women are like the great hunters.
Yeah, dudes are chilling, doing nothing. Be the lion. You mean the guy who's a sex slave for
Yeah.
the ladies?
Yes,
That's
literally.
all
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah,
The
he
only
doesn't
reason
do
they let him
anything.
eat first is because he got to dip
Yes.
down. Eat protein.
You see how like male lions will get their nuts bitten by the female lions when they want to fuck?
Fucking,
Yeah,
bro.
he's right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Wait, what?
Yes. This idea that male lions are like living that life, it's
So that's all we're doing right now. Women going to college, making all the money. It's just evolution. We're just coming animals, bro.
So we're just
gonna be the lions
reverting to
laying
the-
around fucking.
Right.
but we don't. But look,
they're
he
not
don't
doing-
want to fuck.
Sad.
Look at his little face, bro.
Sad.
Yeah, I've been there, dog.
They
You
gotta
good?
fuck like 20 times a day. Can you imagine that? We're
Yeah.
jealous of that. 4 different women. Oh, did you guys hear about that story about there's this guy in Long Island and his wife, he was like cheating on her, I guess, a bunch. So his wife got him a girlfriend, another girlfriend to save their marriage. Another girlfriend that looked identical to her to save their marriage.
I've never heard of this.
I have not heard of this. I've heard the reverse story, the cuck shed story. You guys remember about that?
No,
one?
what is that?
It was like the guy who moved into a shed in his own backyard because his bull had moved into his house.
His bull? What does that mean?
Like the guy who was cucking his wife, or I guess.
Yeah, banging his
Yeah, exactly. Like the bull moved into his house and he built himself a shed in his backyard that he lives in. It was a cuck. You should Google it. It's like the cuck shed. I think it was in New York Magazine. This was a big thing in like 2016. Cuck shed, like New York Magazine. He wrote it was like a whole piece about how he was cool with his cuck shed. But yeah, there you go. When the boyfriend joins the marriage, that's it. Yeah, 2016.
he enjoys being emasculated. Like
No, he enjoyed it. Yeah,
he
he
gets
got
off
got
on
off
it.
on
Yeah, it's like a fetish.
It's like a fetish.
Yeah.
But so what's interesting to me about that is like being the cuck. No, what is it called? Being the bull.
The bull. Yeah,
Being the bull is kind of gay.
What do you mean?
What?
You're not like this dude fucking some guy's wife.
Right.
You're his beat off material.
Right.
Like, it's like if you don't fuck whenever you want, he's like, I'm ready to jerk off. Go fuck my wife. Like, it's not.
No, it's definitely
It's
weird.
not the
Yeah.
dynamic we think it is, where a guy just walks in the room. It's like, yo, get your wife over. I'm gonna fuck her. You're gonna do nothing. It's the opposite. You're the bitch. He's like, coming out of my cuck shed. It's time for me to jerk off, as you were. Right?
I'm
You're
just
like an
reading
evil
this
king.
so
What is that guy from? Not Joffrey, the other one
Which Game of Thrones?
from Game of Thrones, the Battle of the Bastards. He guy's into really fucked up. He has his hounds.
Which kingdom was it?
Cersei's. What?
Ramsey Bolton.
Ramsey
Oh,
Bolton.
yes,
Like that's a fucking cuck shit guy. He'd be into that kind of
Yes, absolutely.
He kind of hacked the game. He's got an Xbox in here. He just like hangs out with his boys all the time.
thing. Dude, this guy figured it out.
Yeah. Cuckshot
What is
guy's
it?
kind of a legend, dude.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
I bring them water. I kiss one good. Oh man. I can't.
Yeah, this is kind of
Yeah,
wild.
this is. I can't even read this again, dude.
He's not in control, bro.
Say what?
He's not in control. He's bringing them
yeah.
water. Fucking.
But you have to understand, his kink is humiliation.
Yes.
He's went through something absolutely horrific in his life where that's the only way he can get off. It's like the fucking Jeffrey Dahmer guy's kink is murdering people or whatever. Like
So
people
do you
have
think
these
that something
weird
happened to him in
kinks.
his life? The
Yeah.
Dahmer thing after watching it? What do you think it was?
Oh, Dahmer?
Yeah. See, I actually watched the Dahmer series, and the more I read about it, I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe he was just born this way.
Well, I
Maybe
think
he
you're
was
born
fucked
that
up.
way, and
Yes.
then it's like
Exacerbated
excavated. Yeah,
by- yeah.
Well, I think it's like deep in there, and then
Right.
that fucked up things you go through in your life.
Yes.
But every one of these guys is molested, 100%.
Was Bundy molested? I know Bundy had some shit, but nothing
Yes.
that traumatic.
Did something
everyone.
happen with his mother? I don't actually know.
Every
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
100%. That's why we just got to kill pedophiles. Because if you're molesting, like just straight up, because you ruin their life. Now, it doesn't happen to every single person. That's why we're talking about there are people who get molested. It's tragic. It's horrible. But they go out and have these like very productive, amazing lives as strippers, whatever they are, right? Like, no. Sorry. You're right. That's the name for it. No. But they go out and do like incredible things, right? And they what is it called? They like push past this horrific thing they went through, of course. Then there are other people who, you know, they have this deep stuff underneath them. They might have that like psychotic tendencies, and that shit fucking triggers it. Yank. I don't know. I think. I mean, imagine going through something as traumatic at a young age. Like,
Yeah, but all these serial killers have a story like that where they're like,
of course.
yeah, my mom abused me. This
Speak
thing
on that.
happened. Like, I forget. who-
childhood trauma, right?
Yeah, there was one guy who, I forget his name. He was like a big foot fetish guy, actually. But he would like kill women and
like
like
this guy.
cut their feet off. I forget his name.
That's crazy.
And then the
Remember
way
the Mindhunters one where they interviewed the guy who would kill women and then he ultimately killed his mom? And
Yeah,
he
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and he ripped his mom's like what was it, the vocal cords out and put him in the garbage disposal and
Yeah.
grinded him up. And afterwards he was like, okay, I'm done. And he just called the police and turned himself.
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Because it was just all about his mom. He just hated his mom. He was taking out the rage of his mom
Yeah.
against like college age
Yeah,
women.
this is a person with psychosis that also
Yes.
has like a traumatic event.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the horrible cocktail. You do not want those two things. Because there's plenty of psycho people that are walking around that had like good childhoods, and they're probably like we know them.
Yeah.
You know,
There was a researcher that was like, "Oh, I realized I was predisposed to having psycho killer tendencies." He was like, "I have like the mental makeup." I forget.
yeah, he was
dude,
studying psychotics, and then he did the test on himself, and they
Yeah.
found out he was psychotic.
And he was like,
We should all
Rogan
take that
episode
test.
where You're talking about the more psychopaths in society. Somebody recently did this on Rogan. I thought it was fascinating, which is that one of the reasons why we might have more psychopaths in society is that in a small group setting, a psychopath would not be as easily to be able to blend in a tribe, whereas in a collectivist, like 7 billion people, a psychopath can more easily move between tribes, scam a person here, scam a person there. You know, like a con artist moves from Florida to California.
Catch me if you
and
can.
you know, like if you move through New York City, like the odds are you are not going to run into the same person every single day. So you can scam this person, and so this gene pool of a psychopath is more easily replicable in a mass, like civilizational
Where it would
society
be
versus a small group.
eradicated,
Exactly,
yeah.
they would be
chosen
killed
out.
almost immediately. They'd be like, "This
Wow.
guy's a fucking liar. He screwed me on this. Like he lied to my face. Fuck him. Let's cast him out of the group." Whereas like we don't have that same checking mechanism.
That's a great point. Back in the day, like if you're a what's it called, a witch oil salesman, like you
Yes.
went, you
Yeah.
made
Snake oil.
snake oil
Yeah.
salesman. Whatever that
you bought
fucking
witch
shit
oil?
is.
Yeah.
I know witch oil.
That's fine.
Witch oil is way better.
bought
Witch
witch
oil. So much
Is
better.
this at the church again?
Yo,
Witch
yo,
oil.
yo, yo.
And you're
Yo,
like,
you
all
are
right.
so jealous,
He's
bro.
hating at church, bro. You hate
bro.
it.
God
saying.
loves me, bro. Yo, Catholics hate every
I
other
know,
type
bro.
of
My back
Christianity.
totally healed. He put his hands on me. Yeah.
God, I can't get some God, bro.
Not for that
I can't
price.
get
I'm just
some
saying there's a
God.
better. I can get you a better price, bro. That's what I'm saying. Why didn't you call me?
Literally, the basket's going around. You know, I'm going through some stuff in my life
To be
with my
fair,
wife.
that's way
Let me
less than
let me get this
10%.
out. I'm going through some shit with my life with my wife. The basket came around, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like, if God is watching this shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
You gonna bribe him to make shit
not
good?
bribing. It wasn't bribing, but it was like he hears me, you know, talking to him and asking for help with something, and then he sees me put in the basket, and he's like, "Oh, you only $20 want a baby?" You know what I mean? Like I had to unload the clip, bro. I unloaded the clip.
But did you have to throw it in the air though? I feel like that was the part that was.
Can I be honest?
That's
with
where
you?
people were like,
Can I
"Oh,
be
this guy's
honest
being a
with
dick."
you? I put that shit in there, but I at least made sure my wife saw. Do you know what I mean?
It's like when you're
I was
tipping at
about
the
to do that
cafe.
anonymously.
Yeah,
I need
yeah,
I need,
yeah.
it's like when the bartender like no, I don't like it when they switch the screen over.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know when
yeah,
you buy
right.
an espresso and they
Right.
flip it for the tip?
Yes.
I flip that shit back.
yeah.
And then
Look,
I hit
That's
it.
Look at it.
exactly how much
Yeah.
You
you
see that? There you go. Eye contact. Boom.
It's not about you. It's actually about me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
50
it's
cents.
all about me.
Enjoy your little couple quarters.
Did you look at the guy next to you that you passed it to? Like, all right, your turn.
Nah, it was just me. I was in the end. I was at the end. I was at the end of the row, but I fucking unloaded the clip.
got him.
Thank you, God.
You don't think he sees a bank account?
Say again?
You don't think he sees your bank account?
It didn't have a QR code, my G. The basket was a basket.
Run it back this
The
Sunday,
basket's
bro.
a basket.
Run on the bank,
They
son.
gotta
You
pass
better
the card
run
reader.
out.
Hey, God. Hey, God. Hey,
Yo,
God.
you take wire transfer, God?
Hey, God. Let me tell you something, God. Let me tell you something. These motherfuckers. These
Cussing at
motherfuckers.
God, bro.
Word.
Why are you cussing at God? That's
Hold on,
disrespectful.
hold on.
Blasphemy,
These, listen, you invented these words.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers right here. There you go. Don't be blasphemous, Miles. Leave him out of this shit. If he
You
want
were
to
just
listen,
talking
he
about
wanna
him. Listen, yo.
If he want to listen. He want to listen. Listen. Don't talk about my white God.
Why God don't like cussing?
Okay, listen. These motherfuckers right here, they think they walk alone, God. I know. At my hardest times, God, I know in my hardest times when I'm walking on the beach of life and I see them footprints, I know it's you carrying me. I know they ain't my footprints. It's your footprints, God. You're carrying me. Thank you, God. I just want to let you know. Y'all, it's your footprints. Walk through that shit.
Andrew, I'm sorry, I gotta go, my friend. But,
You see that, God? You see that, God? You see that? You see that? All right, listen, my man. Thank you so
guys.
much, my brother.
Thank you all.
Saagar.
Seriously.
Hey, everybody, go check out Breaking Points. The best news source in the fucking world right now. Thank you so much. Peace.